got a slip in your palm and a hole in your chest. Black coffee on the felt, man, you look like a mess. 3-team parlay turned to dust in your hand. Now you stare at the chips like they made you this man. But don't you go quiet, don't you fade from the floor. Your name still means something to somebody for sure. Put the glass down, baby. Look at me now. Hold on, hold on. Not tonight, not now. Hold on. Let me pull you out. That bell bites hard, but it don't get the crown.
What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you with Toadstool Sports. I don't know how I was muted, because I believe that after the intro, it usually automatically unmutes, but that's great, whatever. 3-0 on the show yesterday. 2 of them were legit, the other one was not. Gerrit. I'm not going to say I was right about that one. I was correct about the other 2 for sure. The Mets almost blew it. The bullpen held enough to win, but I think they were winning that game 6-1 earlier or something like that, so I was like, all right, we're going to win this one. Bullpen, I don't know, kind of tried to blow it, but they still won 6-4, so I'll take that. And then Cleveland won as well. That one was easy. That was a weird game where Noah Schultz was having some major issues in the first inning. Cleveland was already up 2-0 in the first inning, and then because the White Sox made an extra mound visit. By rule, they had to take Schultz out of the game, so he didn't even finish the first inning, but it counted for us because he started the game. So I'm pretty sure I'll make sure. A lot of times I have to go back and look and make sure that every game actually counted and that the starters actually started. I'm pretty sure they all did. But yeah, that was weird. And then you wound up with a White Sox bullpen game for the rest of the game in a spot where they'd already used all their bullpen in the 13-inning game against the Red Sox. So I was like, I'm fine with that. Although the game was a little bit dicey for a little while. Cleveland didn't score again after that in the first inning, even though I think they had runners on the corners with 1 out when that happened to Schultz. And then they didn't score again in that inning. This Cleveland offense, man. Yeah, don't really want to rely on it, but they were able to pad the lead later after the lead dropped to a 2-1 lead. Then they were able to push that lead, and I think they wound up winning the game pretty easily, like 8-2. Then, of course, the one that I got lucky on was the Yankees, obviously. My part of the handicap that did not go correctly in that game was that this Yankees offense, maybe they're actually not good. Like, I don't know what else to say. If you can't even hit Tyler Mahle when he's pitching on the road, I mean, I don't know what else there is to say. Like, Fried did his part. Yankees offense did absolutely nothing in the game, and they were losing 2-0 in the 9th inning. They should have lost. So I got lucky with that one. The Yankees tied it in the 9th, and then they won the game in the 10th inning. Yeah, that shouldn't have been a win. I thought that it was a good play on the Yankees, like as far as how that game set up. I wasn't really right. Sometimes you got to get lucky. Again, the one thing that I wasn't right about is the Yankees were not able to score against Mahle, and I thought that was something that was definitely going to happen in that game. Whatever, man. Dirty Sock, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. Again, it should have been a 2-1 day, which is fine. Like, it's a winning day, but you gotta look at what happened in the games that you play and determine, like, was this a bullshit winner? Was this a bullshit loser? Was this legitimate? So you can try to adapt what you do, although I'm so stubborn that I'm just going to keep doing the same thing that I do anyway. I saw nothing wrong with that handicap. I think it's just shocking that the Yankees couldn't score at all against Mahle, who was not good. All right, let's go. Let's jump into these games here. We have a couple of afternoon games. I am going to give it a play in Yankees-Braves again here. It's probably too obvious, but it's the first game up at 3:05 p.m. Eastern. Oh, man. When it feels like it's too obvious, I worry, but we're going to take this game under the 7.5. You get that hook on the 7 there. It's a key number in baseball, the 7, because you have to break a 3-3 tie if there is a 3-3 tie. This looks like a really good starting pitching matchup just on its surface. Although I don't just bet based on the surface. Like, I got to go in and actually look at the numbers here. But the numbers do support this. I think the bullpens should be okay here. We have 2 good bullpens here. I'm looking at the A's. That's not what I want. The Braves did use 5 guys out of the bullpen yesterday, though, because the game went into extra innings. But they've been kind of staggering their usage, so I'm not too worried about that. Yankees bullpen should be good to go. They had the day off the day before yesterday. They did have to use some of their better relievers yesterday, but they might be able to use some of them again here. I think I'm still okay with rolling with the bullpens in this one. And obviously, I'm okay with the starting pitching here. And hopefully the starting pitching will get us deep into this game and kind of save the bullpens a little bit. Chris Sale is pitching for the Braves. He was initially going to pitch yesterday. They keep pushing his start back. Like, I don't know if it's to kind of save him for the playoffs at this point. Like, let's not have the old man pitch that often now. Although starting pitchers like to stay on schedule, man. Although I don't think it's going to be a concern with him because he's a veteran. So I don't think pushing him back a few days really matters. He's been really good on the season, obviously. 2.08 ERA, 1.02 whip. He's not much worse on the road. 2.5 road ERA. Had a 6-inning shutout last time he pitched against the Mets, although I know the Mets stink offensively, but he's had 3 shutouts in his last four outings, although one of them was, I think, range shortened against St. Louis or whatever the hell happened in that game. But 2 of his last 3 games have been legitimate shutouts. He's faced some bad offenses in here, though we know how the Yankees offense has been playing recently. Not well. And Sale has been good against this Yankees lineup in the past. They have 29 at-bats against him, 13 strikeouts, 3 walks, 138 average, and 391 OPS. So I think Sale is going to pitch well here, as stupid Windows keeps maximizing this fucking window on me, which I hate. And we're also going to back Gerrit Cole on the other side of this. I mean, he looks like he's pitching pretty well again as well. 3.42 ERA, 1.1 whip. It's the battle of the veterans here, man, in this one. Cole has been pretty good at home, 3.31 home ERA, 186 opponent batting average. So he's been better at home. He struggled a little bit with his command in his last start against the Cubs. He was still able to escape that with only allowing 1 run and getting the win. But he was pitching pretty well up through, like, the entire month of July. He pitched well, and he faced some good offenses in July. So I think he's pitching well. I'm not worried too much about having 1 game where his command was a little bit off. I think he's going to continue to pitch well here. He's got a low hit rate on the season, low walk rate. Strikeout rate is pretty high as well. I don't even think I have to mention it for Sale, but I'm pretty sure I always do just for posterity or whatever. But yeah, I'm pretty sure Sale's numbers are also really good across the board. Yeah, low hit rate, doesn't really walk anybody, strikes out a ton of guys still. So both pitchers look good with their numbers across the board here. Cole against the Braves has been really good, actually, in 52 career at-bats, 28-7 strikeout walk ratio, 115 average allowed, 451 OPS. So you're looking at 2 starting pitchers who have both held the opposing offenses they're facing here to below a 200 batting average and below a 500 OPS. So that's pretty good. Yeah, let's take the under here. Not overthink this one, but the numbers seem to support it for me. And yeah, like I said, the bullpens are good bullpens in general. The Yankees are ranked 4th, although they have the 2nd best bullpen ERA. Atlanta's 3rd, which I think is legitimately where they are right now, the 3rd best bullpen. Yankees offense has been struggling. Like I said, they're 14th right now, tied with the Giants. Braves have been better, and they are pretty good on the road. They're 7th, but I think the pitching is going to counter the hitting in this one. It's also one of those matchups where people have a tendency to think, oh, Braves, Yankees, like these are both good teams that have good histories, like they should be able to hit, but you're looking at offenses that might not be at their best here, and they're facing really good pitching here. So, I lean towards the pitching in scenarios like that. Let's do it under. The money seems to not agree with me on it, though. 69% of the tickets and 63% of the cash on the under, but the way that I handicap this thing, it looks like a go to me, so let's do it. Under 7.5, Braves, Yankees. And I know yesterday's game went under, but it was lower scoring than it looked like on the scoreboard. I mean, that was a 2-run game going into the final the final half of an inning. You know what I mean? It was a 2-0 Atlanta lead into the bottom of the ninth. So 3 runs scored after that point. So that game was actually lower scoring than it even looked like it was. So I don't know. That doesn't concern me too much. Anyway, all right. Anaheim at Miami. Miami definitely struggling here. They've lost 4 games in a row. They're below 500 now. I think they're not going to make the playoffs at this point. But they did return home from a road trip yesterday, so that was kind of a difficult spot. They might be in a better spot here because I talk about when teams don't do well in the return home spot, a lot of times they bounce back and they do better in the next game. And Anaheim at this point is really just playing out the stretch. They don't really have a whole lot to play for here. Miami technically is still fighting for a wild card spot, and they didn't sell at the trade deadline, really, I don't think. Looks like a decent starting pitching matchup here, so I was thinking possibly an under. Might make sense here, but when I started digging into it, the matchup numbers don't necessarily support that. As far as the bullpens are concerned, I lost my bullpen window. What are we doing here? No, that's not what I want. Oh, my God. What are we doing here, man? I lost my bullpen tab. Of course, I'm all out of it this morning. Where is it? Oh, all right. Separate windows going on here. Anyway, there it is. All right. Let me see. Miami used 4 guys out of the bullpen yesterday. I forget who we're even talking about here. Miami and who? I don't even remember. L.A. Yeah, I mean Anaheim. Oh, my God. I'm all discombobulated here. Anaheim used 5 relief pitchers. Miami clearly has the better bullpen, though. I don't think they're as good as ranked where they're ranked here, 5th based on whip, but they're obviously better than Anaheim's bullpen by quite a bit. Anaheim is 21st. They're not good. Hitting-wise, Miami's been the better team as well, although they've fallen off a little bit. They're 11th right now, but Anaheim not very good over the course of the season at 25th. Now, one thing that might support an under here is that Miami does play low-scoring games at home. Typically, it's more of a pitcher-friendly ballpark. Walbert Urania is getting the start for the Angels, and I have sung his praise on the show here. I think he's a good pitcher. I think he's talented. We backed him multiple times this year. I think we won pretty recently backing him. He's got a 2.54 ERA. His whip, 1.25. He needs to fix his walk issues, man. That's the one problem with him is he walks too many guys. He's a little bit worse on the road as well, 2.61 road ERA, but that's still obviously not bad. He's been pretty much lights out for the last month plus at this point. He's allowed 1 or 0 earned runs in every start since the beginning of July across 5 starts. Yeah, that's pretty good. But his walk rate has been kind of bad. So he's getting away with issuing way too many free passes here. But he is also striking out a decent amount of guys, and he's not allowing hits. So that's how he's doing this. He's allowing very few hits. He's hard to hit. He's a decent strikeout pitcher. He gets a lot of ground ball outs too, although the ground balls can kind of mask the fact that you're jamming the bases with base runners because, you get a lot of double plays and stuff like that when you're inducing a lot of ground balls, and that can help you out. But if you consistently do that, I mean, that is also a decent thing. But, yeah, obviously his walk rate is way too high, and that's the one real concern with him. It makes his strikeout-walk ratio look awful. He's got to stop walking, guys. But I think he might pitch well here. He's generally been good, and Miami has never seen him before, so I think that's an advantage. When you got a young, talented pitcher going and the opposing offense hasn't seen him before, that gives them a little bit of an extra edge over those hitters because they have to figure him out. One guy that does not really need to be figured out is Sandy Alcantara, so we have the veteran going for Miami here. He's had a good season, man. He's kind of figured out how to pitch again after dealing with all the injury stuff that he's dealt with and whatever. Doesn't have his velocity anymore, but he's got a 3.68 ERA, 1.2 whip. That's not bad. He's been good at home, 2.95 home ERA with a much lower opponent batting average allowed at home. He's only had 1 bad start, really, since the beginning of July, which was at Houston. He allowed 5 runs there, but he's allowed 3 or fewer in all of his other starts since then. 1 or fewer in all but 1 other start there. So, yeah, he's pitching well right now for sure. He's got a reasonably low hit rate here. His walk rate is okay, given that he's thrown a lot of innings here. And his strikeout rate is low, but it is what he is at this point. He doesn't strike that many guys out anymore. The real concern with him, though, is these Anaheim bats have actually done well against him in 59 at bats, 356 average, 1,094 OPS. And again, maybe I weigh the matchups too big, but I try to or too heavily, but I try to weigh everything here. 9-6 strikeout walk ratio here is also not good. I don't know if I trust Alcantara in this spot, man. So I actually think the way that I might lean in this game is maybe I'm weighing the matchups too heavily, but I think Anaheim first 5 might make some sense here. You're going to get them as a pretty big underdog. The money is already kind of driven the money line down. Miami opened at -173, and now they're -150 something. So some money did come in against Miami, I think, to drive that number down. Miami's public, 86% of the tickets, 91% of the cash, though. But I don't think that's a huge cash disparity. That, to me, the way that I read that is it looks like Miami's pretty public to me. So I wouldn't really want to try to back them, even though it might be a bounce back spot for them. Miami does have the better bullpen. But that's why I said I think Anaheim first 5, just looking at that starting pitching matchup, might make sense. And it looks to be maybe a low-scoring game because the odds makers have put the total out at 7.5. Money is coming in on the under. I wouldn't disagree with an under in this game, although I worry about Anaheim's bullpen, obviously. That's the one main concern if you want to try to go under. You could go under first 5, but you know how I hate that in these 7.5 total games, or you have to go under 3.5 in the first 5. You're on the razor's edge when you do that. And sometimes I like to be dangerous, but I'm not doing that recently, so I don't know. But yeah, I think Anaheim in the first 5 might make some sense given what the price is. You get a pretty big underdog price, and I think their pitcher could definitely compete in the first 5 there. So usually that indicates you should be looking towards the underdog. And like I always say, if it's a low total, the underdog has a better chance to kind of hang around in that game. All right. Charles, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. Next game, A's and Red Sox. What else can we say about the Red Sox, man? I mean, coming off that marathon of a game, the 13-inning game against the White Sox, they had the perfect game that you could have after that. They destroyed the A's yesterday. They got a ton of runs. Perkins wasn't really good enough in the game yesterday. And what the Red Sox did yesterday is they saved all the rest of their bullpen. Literally every relief pitcher that pitched in the game against the White Sox, which was their entire bullpen, none of them pitched yesterday for the Red Sox. So what the Red Sox did is they sent Weissert down to the minors. They called up this guy Burgos, who's not even really that good, I don't think. But he was the only relief pitcher they used yesterday. Peyton Tolley was ridiculous in the game yesterday, and he was on a record-setting strikeout pace in the game yesterday. Tolley had 14 strikeouts in 6 innings, and he only threw 80-something pitches, which is unheard of when you're striking out that many guys. I think he only allowed 1 hit or maybe 2 hits, although he did allow a home run. But I think he had a perfect game into the 5th inning as well. But his strikeout rate, usually when you have a strikeout rate that high, you're throwing a lot of pitches to do that, and he was not. 80-something pitches with 14 strikeouts is something that you rarely see, if ever. So I was thinking they should leave him in. But, I mean, it makes sense. They don't want to overwork their young pitcher. But, man, he was good in that game. And I wanted to see the record, man. I was like, there's a chance he could get 20 strikeouts in this game. You never see that anymore in Major League Baseball. Leave him in, for at least another inning and see where this goes, but they didn't do it. They used Burgos for the final 3 innings, and he didn't allow anything. So even though I don't even think he's good, the Red Sox saved the rest of their bullpen. So that was exactly what the Red Sox needed after that. They didn't use any of the rest of their relief pitchers, so their bullpen is now somewhat rested again after that. So that was very good for them. And their bullpen is the better bullpen. And the A's used 4 guys out of their bullpen yesterday. So the Red Sox are going to have a bullpen edge here. They have the better hitting as well, but the Red Sox have the number 1 bullpen. A's debatably are the worst bullpen. I mean, their ERA is disgusting. 5.7. That is so bad. I think they're the worst bullpen. A's, they're one of the worst teams in general. And the Red Sox have moved all the way up to 13th offensively now, which is insane, especially given that they still have some injuries. Wilson Contreras still didn't play yesterday. He's sick, so he wasn't even in the game yesterday. And it's like the Red Sox have all these hitters that aren't even that good, and they're all just getting hits. Like, oh yeah, Jake Rogers that we just got as a throw-in in the Rutschman deal, and Rutschman's hurt right now. By the way, Rutschman is playing in AAA today, I think. So Rutschman is back probably soon. But yeah, Jake Rogers, the throw in there, it's like he shows up, and what did he have? 3 hits yesterday? He had 2 doubles. I think he scored 3 runs. Like, yeah, whatever. The guy that they have as a backup catcher right now that was a throw-in in a deal, and he's batting 9th in the order. Oh yeah, let's just have this guy contributing all over the place offensively. Why not? It's so ridiculous, man. Oh man, it makes me laugh. And also, the tarps off phenomenon is in full swing at Fenway Park. The dudes are all taking their shirts off, and it was even more insane last night. One of the I think it was Dave O'Brien, one of the Nesson commentators for the Red Sox. It's Dave O'Brien and Lou Merlone now, former player Lou Merlone. They're the commentary team. They're never going to beat Orsillo and Remy, though. Nobody could ever beat that duo. I miss Orsillo as well. He's with the San Diego Padres commentary crew there. But I think it was O'Brien last night was talking about the tarps off, and he's like, I think this is like the most extensive tarps off moment that we've seen so far in Fenway. It's like every third dude in the stadium has his shirt off right now. I was like, yeah, man, yeah, this is the way to go. I got to get my ass out to some Red Sox games, man, and join in. It would not be the first instance of me being shirtless in Fenway Park. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, I'm dangerous. Move the mound back. No, why would they do that? Has the mound's been the same distance for what, like a century? No. Why? No, stop fucking changing baseball. Every change is bad. Like, the ghost runner is terrible. I hate the pitch clock, too, but the ghost runner is the worst thing. Get rid of the ghost runner. At least get rid of that bullshit. I mean, come on, man. I think that 13-inning game the other day was the first game to go that long since the ghost runners were introduced, probably. It just doesn't even happen anymore. Yeah, fuck the ghost runner. Dude, why would you change something? This has been the American pastime. It's been like the favorite sport in America for over a century. Nothing's wrong with it. And then, let's just break it. Let's fix something that isn't even broken. Fuck you. Bring back steroids. That's the other thing that needs to happen. Because, again, you want people to watch this sport, and now everybody's hitting like 240. Whereas when I grew up, it was like half of every lineup was hitting 300. Like, there's no offense anymore in this game. It's ridiculous. The New York Yankees are, not hitting at all. So, whatever. Anyway, let me get back to this, man. I've only talked about 2 games so far. This is awful. I got to finish this. I got to get out of here, too. I got to leave. We got some festivities going on. A's and Red Sox. Yes, that's what I was going to talk about. I was starting to talk about it, yes. So the Red Sox have a bullpen advantage here. They have a hitting edge at this point as well. The A's are missing like 3 of their best hitters right now, too. They have a lot of injuries in their lineups. This is a weakened A's lineup as well. Gage Jump is getting the start for the A's here. He's not bad. I mean, he's a young, talented pitcher. 4.59 ERA, 1.47 whip is definitely not very good, but he's been way better on the road. So, again, pitching in that A's stadium is just awful, and he's been considerably better on the road. And I've backed him multiple times on the road on this show, and we've won backing him, but I haven't done it for a while. 2.51 road ERA, though, 218 opponent batting average on the road. That's good stuff. And he was the only one to beat the Red Sox in that last series that these two teams played a couple weeks ago in Sacramento. Jump was the pitcher for the only A's win. He picked up the win in that one. He shut out the Red Sox for 6 innings. Pretty good start from him, except that he walked too many guys, and that is really the concern. This walk rate is just out of control, dude. Over his last 3 starts, he's walked whatever that is. What is that? 14 guys over a span of, I think, 14 1/3 innings, if I did that math right. That is not good. He's walking like 1 guy an inning over his last 3 outings, and 2 of them, he didn't even make it 5 innings. 3 of his last 4 outings, the only one he made it past 5 innings was against the Red Sox. Oh, man. Yeah, the walks are the big concern with him. His hit rate is actually a little bit high as well. His strikeout rate is good. Walk rate is way too high. But he's been good against the Red Sox because it was just that one start. They have 15 at-bats against him, 200 average, 561 OPS, 5-2 strikeout walk ratio. Now, he had the advantage of being unfamiliar to the Red Sox the first time, and now he isn't. So a lot of times, a pitcher like that, the first time they see an offense, they do well. But then if that offense knows what they're going to see the next time and they see him again right away, the offense does better in that next game. So that's going to be a concern with Jump here. But he might just have a matchup edge. He might do well against the Red Sox here, and he has been good on the road, so I wouldn't really want to necessarily fade him here. Jake Bennett is pitching for the Red Sox. He's been pretty strong, 2.9 ERA, 1.01 whip. He's been basically the same home and away. It doesn't really matter. He kind of struggled a little bit in his last start, but it was against the Dodgers, and he picked up a win anyway because the Red Sox swept that series, but he got the win in that one. Definitely got some run support behind him in that one. But he's been pretty good. He started allowing more runs recently, but he's only allowed at most 3 in any of his starts going all the way back through the beginning of June. He's only allowed more than 3 earned runs once all season. He's got a low hit rate, although he hasn't pitched the entire season. He's got a low hit rate, low walk rate. Doesn't strike guys out, though, which is the one thing about him is, yeah, he doesn't really have strikeout stuff, which is kind of weird because he's a big left-hander, and usually guys with a frame like that can throw hard, but he doesn't really do that. His numbers against the A's are not really that good, though. In 18 at-bats, 333 average, allowed 900 OPS, 3-2 strikeout walk ratio. So he actually pitched in that game against Jump, so it's the same pitching matchup. I mean, Bennett wasn't horrible in that start, but he got outpitched by Jump by a little bit in that one, although, I mean, well, I guess maybe you could argue that Jump was slightly worse because Jump's walk rate was really high in that one. Maybe he got a little bit lucky. So I don't know. You could actually debate which starter was actually better in that one, although the numbers, looking at these opposing offenses here, the numbers kind of bear out that Bennett was actually worse. But maybe he'll do better this time, although maybe it's not a good sign that the A's were not even familiar with him and they were able to hit him well anyway. We'll see. But this A's lineup right now, there's like nobody in it. Like their best hitter is Soderstrom, who was the one that hit the home run off of Tolle yesterday. And it looked like it was going to be a fly out to deep right. And it just kind of carried a little bit over the wall there. It's just kind of ridiculous. It looked like Abreu was going to be able to catch that at first, but whatever. It's a weakened A's lineup here. I'm going into too much detail with this game. Got to speed this process up here, man. What do I have to say about this game? Well, I think first 5 under might be the way to look at this. I wouldn't want to back the A's bullpen ever, but 76% of tickets is 64% of the cash on the over. The total's at 9, and it did drop a little bit from 9.5. That seems like a pretty high total, given what this pitching matchup is. Maybe Jump not getting much respect. I mean, he does walk way too many guys, that's for sure. I would have my concerns about him because of that, but yeah, I think if you're going to play this game at all, I think first 5 under makes the most sense. And the Red Sox, to me, seem like they're unplayable at minus 260 or whatever, although that was about what the price was last night, too. The A's get no respect in the market. They're considered to be one of the worst teams, and the Red Sox are all of a sudden considered to be one of the best teams. Public is on the Red Sox, 95% of the tickets, only 85% of the cash, though. And that's all about the price. Like, the bettors that are taking the A's aren't necessarily saying they think the A's are going to win, but they're saying that they think there's value in making that play. And maybe there is. I mean, that's why I said, I guess you could maybe make the argument for the A's in the first 5 as well. I like the under a little bit better in the first 5, but A's in the first 5, I think is kind of correlated with that. And it makes some sense as well because Jump did outpitch Bennett the last time, so he does have the better matchup numbers, or debatably, at least, he outpitched him. But he has the better matchup numbers, like I said, so maybe the A's will hang around early in the game. Garrett, what's up? Yes, I go watch the beginning of my show. I got lucky on that one. There's no doubt about that. The thing that I was incorrect about was that the Yankees could not hit at all against a terrible pitcher. Like, I think what's going on here is this Yankees offense has some major problems right now. I think that's really what's going on here. Yeah, I got that part of the game wrong for sure. I got lucky in that one. There's no doubt about that. The other 2 plays that I gave out were actual winners. All right, Toronto and Philadelphia. Philadelphia lost yesterday with Zach Wheeler on the mound, which is not something, I think it was Wheeler, right? Not something you usually see, especially against a Blue Jays offense that's been one of the worst in baseball. And the Blue Jays are just kind of playing out the stretch now, whereas Philadelphia has something to play for. But I do think Philadelphia is overrated. As I've been saying, their run differential is not very good. But they do have some elite pitchers at the top of their rotation. They don't have any of the pitching today, though. Philly's bullpen does have some issues. They used 3 guys yesterday. Toronto's bullpen used more than that because they had to save the game. They used 5 guys out of the bullpen there. The bullpens might be on kind of even footing here. Philadelphia is generally worse. They're 18th here. The Blue Jays are... Where are the Blue Jays? Are 16th, but they do have a better ERA, but they have a little bit more usage, so I don't think there's a huge gap between the 2 bullpens in this one. I don't know if I'd really want to back either bullpen in this one. The offenses have both kind of struggled. Phillies are 22nd, tied with the Royals. That's never good if you're tied with the Royals in any facet of the game. Toronto's been awful, though. They're dead last, 30th offensively. And Toronto's going with Max Scherzer here. They continue to roll him out there, man. And yeah, it's been way more bad than good. He's at the end of his rope. We know this. He's about to retire. 7.92 ERA. I thought he was going to retire after last year. That was like the, make one more run at a World Series type of thing. Although he's already won. I think you guys said he's won at least 2, right? Maybe 3. 7.92 ERA from him this year. That's not good. 1.63 whip. Not good. If his name wasn't Max Scherzer, he probably would not be in a starting rotation right now. But he's actually been somewhat okay on the road. He has a 3.12 road ERA, but it's a very small sample. And he's still been kind of hittable on the road. He pitched well in his last start against St. Louis, so just randomly he kind of like finds himself and pitches well, but he's mostly been bad. He's had like 2 starts that were really good like that, and all the rest of the starts have been bad. He's got a high hit rate here, a high walk rate, his strikeout rate is low. There's nothing to really like about this unless you think he's actually turning a corner and he's actually going to start being in form here, which I don't really see many indicators of that unless we see him. If he starts stringing together multiple good starts in a row, then I'll start believing that. He does have good career numbers against Philly, but obviously take that with a huge grain of salt because that was when Scherzer was actually good, which he isn't anymore, but they have 204 at-bats against him, 75 strikeouts, 18 walks, 225 average, 676 OPS. All those numbers are good for sure, but I'm not convinced that he's actually going to have a good start here, man. The current version of Scherzer is the worst that we've ever seen, so yeah, I would worry about that. Aaron Nola is pitching for Philadelphia, and he at least has one thing going for him, is that he's younger than Max Scherzer. That's the only thing that he's got going for him. Well, maybe. He's got a 5.55 ERA, 1.44 whip. He's struggling, man, trying to come back from the injury issues that he's had the last couple of years. He's been awful at home, 6.47 home ERA, so Scherzer does actually have an edge in the home road splits here. Nola has pitched better for more of an extended period of time now, though. Like, Nola actually was decent throughout the month of July, although his team lost every one of his starts, but most of that wasn't really his fault. He wasn't really allowing that many runs, so he was not killing his team there. And then they won his last start. He pitched okay against Washington last time out, so Nola maybe actually pitching a little bit better. Like, we have more of an indicator that he's actually kind of turned a corner here than Scherzer. And again, Nola's the younger guy, so there's more ability for him to do that. He's still got a high hit rate here, though. His walk rate is kind of high, too. He's allowed a ton of home runs, which has not helped the case at all. That's a ridiculous home run rate, really bad. His strikeout rate is actually not bad. He does strike out a decent amount of guys still, so that does tell you his stuff is kind of still there. He's going up against a really weak offense here. Toronto has 54 at-bats against him, 222 average, 730 OPS. Not bad numbers for Nola there. Not great, but not bad. What do we do with this game? And when I first looked at it, my thought was over because it's like, I don't think you could trust either of these pitchers, really. The total's pretty high at 9.5, and the money is coming in on the over pretty strongly. 55% of the tickets on the under, 90% of the cash on the over. But given what those matchup numbers look like, I kind of hesitate to want to really do that. And given that these are bad offenses, so I don't really know if I want to actually rely on these bad offenses. Like, again, I think pitching just overcomes hitting. So the worse the hitting is, the less likely the hitting is going to be able to do anything against whatever pitchers they're going up against. You know what I mean? But I think the best pitchers can beat the best hitting, but I think lesser pitchers are able to beat lesser hitting as well. You know what I mean? So something to take into account there. I got nothing on this game, really, man. I mean, maybe the over is the right play to make here. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to do it, obviously, but 84% of tickets, 94% of the cash on Philly as well. They're around minus 150 something. I guess maybe you could argue it's a bounce back for Philly. There are definitely some arguments for the Philly side here. I think more than there are for the Toronto side. But you do have to lay a price for it. You'd have to make like a -1 run line with Philly here. And, oh, no, they might not bat in the ninth inning or whatever. But at this point in their careers, I think Nola might actually be the more backable pitcher over Scherzer. But you saw the numbers. Like, Nola's awful at home, so I still wouldn't want to do that. Maybe nothing is safe, but maybe the better way to play that is still to go with my first instinct and go over in that game, but I'm not going to do anything with it. You like the Phillies to win. I somewhat agree with that. I don't agree with the Marlins, though, really. If you're going to play the Marlins, I would do a full game, but I don't really like... Urania's pretty good, man. I don't want to fade Urania. Nolan, Christopher Nolan, yeah, he sucks. The Odyssey, fuck that. No, Nola. Yeah, Nola, again, he's better over his last month or so, but yeah, he used to be really good. He had some major injuries, and he hasn't been able to bounce back from those injuries. That's what's going on with him. He looked good at the end of last year, though. So I thought he was back, and this year he's mostly had a bad season, so I don't know. Mets and Pittsburgh, we got the win with the Mets yesterday. Pittsburgh was in a return home spot, so that was part of my handicap, that's typically a negative, and it was not good for them. They were definitely bad early in that game, and it was enough for the Mets to hang on and win. So we got the win with that one. As an underdog, I enjoy that we got that one right. The Mets won 4 games in a row for the first time all year, I think. But I don't put much weight into that, man. I'm looking at what's going on in the specific matchup. Pittsburgh might be in a bounce back spot here now. I mean, this is a team, they're in last place in their division now. They're not worse than the Reds, okay? I don't really think that they're worse than St. Louis either, so I think things have gone a little bit too far with Pittsburgh here, and I think they're going to start turning it around a little bit, although maybe it's too late. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but it is a bounce-back spot for them. Whenever a team returns home, they don't do well in that game. They tend to bounce back pretty well in the next game, so it's a positive situation for Pittsburgh here, and on the surface, it's hard to gauge because it looks like the Mets are kind of going with a bullpen game here, and Pittsburgh is at least going with an actual starter here, although he's not really that good of one. Pittsburgh, they're the worst bullpen. They used 4 guys out of the bullpen yesterday. They're the worst of these 2 bullpens. The Mets used 4 as well, but I think the Mets do have a bullpen advantage, even though they were kind of sellers at the trade deadline out of the bullpen, but they're still 7th. They've been all right out of the bullpen. They were a little bit dicey last night, but good enough to still hang on to that game. Pittsburgh is 23rd. I mean, that's part of the reason why I went full game. Pittsburgh's bullpen is not really helping their team out much, although they actually did buy at the trade deadline. They added a couple of bullpen arms, but I don't think it's going to completely correct their bullpen. You know what I mean? They might be a little bit better. Pittsburgh is obviously the better offense. They're 4th, and they've been good at home. The Mets are 27th, so Pittsburgh does have an offensive edge. The Mets are going with... the Unsolved Mysteries host, Robert Stock, not Robert Stack. Robert Stock, I'm not sure how much stock to put into this man. He's, what do we get out of him, man? I mean, he's been sort of in and out of the league since 2018. He's mostly been a relief pitcher, hasn't really stuck in Major League Baseball. He's 36 years old at this point. But he had a good start against Miami last time out. I believe he started the game, right? Yeah, he did. And he went 5 innings and gave up 1 run against Miami. I mean, he pitched well. Can that really continue with a guy that's never stuck in Major League Baseball? He's mostly been a reliever, and he's 36 years old. I don't think I'd want to bank on it, even though his numbers look good right now, 1.8 ERA, 0.6 whip, but I would not put much weight into that. It was 1 start. He pitched well. I don't know if that's really going to continue. And Pittsburgh is a way better offense than Miami's, in my opinion, especially in Pittsburgh. So he might be up against it here. Pittsburgh hasn't really seen him. Brandon Lowe is the only hitter who's faced him, and he has 2 walks, and those are his only at-bats against him. I don't trust Stock here, man, but how much do you trust Bubba Chandler, who's pitching for Pittsburgh here? He's the much younger guy, so obviously he's the guy with more upside here. 4.49 ERA, though. 1.41 whip is definitely not very good. He's struggled at home more so than on the road. 4.81 home ERA, that's not good. His main issue is walks. I feel like I say that a lot, but that is the case. He's got a low hit rate, so he doesn't allow that many hits. His strikeout rate isn't as good as I thought it would be. Like, he looked really good at the end of last year. He was striking a lot of guys out, but this year, not so much. But his walk rate is, again, the major issue here. Way, way, way too high. That's a major concern. The Mets have never faced him, so maybe he does have an advantage there. He's facing kind of a weak lineup here, and they're going to be unfamiliar with him, so maybe Chandler has an edge there. I think there probably is a situational edge for Pittsburgh here. It might be a bullpen game for the Mets, so I'm going to say if you're going to play this game, I would probably pick Chandler must start for Pittsburgh, but I would probably not pick a starter for the Mets here. The Mets are getting the money. 57% of tickets on Pittsburgh, 83% of the cash on the Mets. I don't see it. I would not really want to do that. Pittsburgh is a favorite at about minus 120 something, and there's legitimately been money against them because they dropped for minus 143, so there is actual money coming in on the side of the Mets here. I don't think I see it, man. I kind of disagree. I think you're getting the pitcher with more upside, at least with Pittsburgh, and the better situation with Pittsburgh. Although if I was going to go Pittsburgh, I'd probably limit it to the first 5. I don't really want to do it. I don't really want to trust Chandler here, but I think that might be some way to lean here. I mean, the better way to play this might just be to take the over, though. The total's kind of high at 9, and do you really trust either starting pitcher here? I don't think I would. And the tickets are coming in on the under. 62% of tickets on the under, 83% of the cash on the over. I think the over might be more likely in this game than anything else, really. Again, these are not pitchers you really want to trust. So, yeah, I think an over, I guess, probably is what makes the most sense there. No. Just no to anything about the Odyssey. You should not like overs because the overs are more of a public play. So I think the unders hit at a higher rate than overs. So if you're mostly playing overs, you're probably doing something wrong. All right. But I will pick spots where I will play overs, obviously. I think unders probably hit like 51% of the time or something. Like, you're going to go broke if you blindly play unders or overs. Like, that's how the books make their money because they charge you. So you can't get over that threshold either way you do it, but the public plays the over, so I think it's more likely that an under is going to hit than an over, just in general, especially when you get into like football and shit like that, and in like the highly publicized games. Those are all games where people play the overs, so the number has to be juiced towards the over. All right, and that means you get value on the unders. Cincinnati and Washington. My first look at this, I'm like, yeah, this looks like a Cincinnati first 5 play here, which means Chase Burns is pitching. Washington did get the win yesterday, even though they were in a return home spot. They won anyway, 5-3. They're probably the better team here, although I think Washington's going to kind of trail off as the season finishes here. Washington doesn't have a good bullpen. They used 3 guys out of the bullpen. Cincinnati's bullpen is not much better. They used 4 guys out of their bullpen. Washington's ranked 26th in the bullpen. Cincinnati is 25th. Cincinnati is better, but not by much. Washington's the better offense. They're number 2, but they've been kind of bad over the last week or two. So Washington's kind of, since the trade deadline, basically, they sold a little bit at the trade deadline, and their offense hasn't really been quite as good since then. The Reds are not a good offense, though. The Reds are 19th, better than I actually thought. They've been ranked in the 20s from a lot of the season. Maybe the Reds won't need much offense here because Chase Burns is pitching. Like I said, he's clearly their best starter, especially now that Hunter Green is injured yet again, and I think shut down for the season. Absolutely ridiculous. Only made 3 starts or 4 starts or whatever. Burns, though, 2.35 ERA, 1.1 whip. Burns, he's been basically... He's good anywhere he pitches. He's a little bit worse on the road. 2.51 road ERA. Still not bad. He's pitching well recently. I mean, there's not a whole lot to say about this. He's been really good for almost the entire season. He's only allowed more than 2 earned runs 3 times all season, and more than 3 earned runs only twice, I think is what that was. He's got a low hit rate. Walk rate is low enough. Strikeout rate is high. All these numbers look good. One thing you do have to worry about with him is he's a young pitcher. You got to worry about the innings threshold with these guys as you get late into the season. I don't think he's arrived at that yet. He's not close to that 150 yet, so I'm not too concerned by that yet. He's been good against Washington so far with 24 at-bats against some 167 average, 492 OPS, 8-1 strikeout walk ratio. So Burns, I think he has a good matchup here. I think he should pitch well. Andrew Alvarez for Washington here, he's a big question mark. He's got some talent, and he could pitch well here against kind of a weaker offense. I think the variance with him is really big. Like, he could go up there and just absolutely suck, or he could go out there and do really well. So that's really, you have to that's how you handicap this game. You have to figure out what the hell is Alvarez going to do in this game, and that makes this really difficult to handicap because I think Burns will give you a good start. Alvarez, 3.94 ERA, but his whip is not that good, 1.45. He's been a bit worse at home, 4.63 home ERA, so maybe you want to fade him at home. And his walk rate is definitely an issue. So he walks too many guys. He's walked 3 guys apiece in his last 3 starts, 3 or more in 4 of the last 5 starts. That's not a good thing. His hit rate is okay. His walk rate, like I said, way too high. Strikeout rate is decent, almost 1 per inning, and he does get a lot of ground ball outs as well. But he's got control issues, man. Now, the Reds haven't seen him, and the Reds are not the greatest offense, obviously, so he might do okay here because, again, he's unfamiliar to them, so he might have a little bit of an edge there. But I still think if I was going to play this game, I still think it's probably Cincinnati in the first 5 would be the way that I would look at this game. I think Burns should still win the starting pitching battle here. He is that good, but you have to pay a price for it. The odds makers know this at this point. You're laying like minus 130 something up to minus 140 with Cincinnati in the full game, and it might be worse than that in the first 5, right? Although Washington's bullpen is worse. So if you wanted to try to cut the price down a little bit and go Reds full game and hope that their bullpen doesn't implode on you, or hope that Washington's hurts Washington, I guess I could see the argument for it for Cincinnati full game, but I think the biggest edge you have here is probably still in the first 5, but I think you're going to wind up having to lay a half run with Cincinnati in the first 5 if you do it that way. 85% of the tickets, 90% of the cash on Cincinnati, so kind of crazy to see the public ticket percentage on Cincinnati because normally they'd play the team with the better record, which is Washington, but I think they've caught on to how good Burns is, so I think that's what's going on there, but I still think first 5 Cincinnati makes the most sense in that game. Cubs and Kansas City. Kansas City lost the game yesterday 6-4. Kevin Gausman, pretty good in his Cubs debut. Maybe a change of scenery, good for Gausman, man. I mean, he's a good pitcher. He wasn't pitching that well down the stretch with Toronto, but maybe he's going to have a little bit of a resurgence with the Cubs there. He looked good, and Lynch was done. He got lynched. He was given the rope early in the game. Oh my God, I can't say that. Lynch, he was out of the game really early. He sucked. I thought it was going to kind of be a bullpen game for Kansas City. And by the way, he was only starting. I forgot to mention that because Avila, who had been in their starting rotation, he's hurt now. So that's why Lynch made the start yesterday. Things are not going well for Kansas City. Let's put it that way. And by the way, Pittsburgh went with a bullpen game / Mlodzinski yesterday because actually, let me make sure that game actually counted. I don't want to have a misleading record here. Yeah, well, actually, I said just play it action anyway, though. So, but yes, those starters did start in the game anyway. So if you played it that way, it still counted. But anyway, the reason why Mlodzinski started, I forgot to mention, is because Mitch Keller is hurt for Pittsburgh. So I'll just throw that out there as well, trying to keep track of all the injuries going on here. I miss a lot of them. But speaking of injuries, we got a guy who was injured who's coming back. And with a new team now, with the Cubs. The Cubs have a completely different starting rotation now down the stretch. Like, their starting rotation was hurting, man, after Cade Horton went down. Horton's good, man, and that was a major blow to the Cubs. But now they got Gausman and they got Clay Holmes pitching today. I mean, that's going to improve the rotation, man. That's an improvement over these other guys that have had pitching. Some of these guys, maybe David Peterson will finally be out, but probably not because he's actually pitching well. Anyway, Kansas City's bullpen is bad. They use 3 guys out of the bullpen. The Cubs clearly have the better bullpen here. The Cubs use 3 as well. The Cubs are 13th, but Kansas City, they're ranked dead last. I guess we'll give them that they're better than the A's, okay? That's all I'll give them, though. Horrible bullpen for Kansas City. Cubs are the better offense as well. They're ranked third. Kansas City is 22nd, tied with the Phillies, which sounds like a good thing, but it isn't. And our man Clay Holmes is coming back here, man. He's been on the 60-day injured list with a broken fibula. And you guys might remember that because that happened in a game that I gave out as a play on the show. It was against the Yankees, I believe, when Holmes was still with the Mets. The Mets traded him, I believe, at the trade deadline. Even though he was on the injured list, they traded him. So I guess his medical must have checked out. So that kind of leads me to believe he's actually going to pitch well here, that his medical all checked out. But he was good this season before going down. 2.39 ERA, 1.1 whip. He was good on the road as well, 2.1 road ERA, although I would dial it back a little bit because even though he did have a good season pretty much with the Mets last year and with the Yankees the couple years prior to that, with the Yankees he was a relief pitcher, and then when the Mets made him a starter, his whip was a little bit high and kind of indicated that he should have been worse than he was. He was walking too many guys. Although this year, for whatever reason, he did get the walks kind of under control a little bit, literally. So he had a pretty low hit rate here this season so far. His walk rate really wasn't that bad. He gets a lot of ground ball outs. Although that always makes you think of David Peterson, who I think is ass. And Holmes, not really a great strikeout rate, as you could probably expect, but he was pitching pretty well before he went down. And you remember, he took the line drive off of his leg, his shin, in that game against the Yankees, and I believe I gave out the under is what it was as a play in that game, and I think it still hit. And Clay Holmes, because he's a badass, he stayed in the game and got up to 95 pitches. He threw like 29 more pitches with a broken leg in that game and grinded his way through that game, although he lost the game, but you got to give him credit for that, man. This guy, he's not going to go down without a fight, so I like that. And if he could pitch on a broken leg, that leads me to believe that he's probably going to at least be all right coming back. And he's a veteran, so I'm not worried about him coming back from the injured list or anything like that. Like, he's probably had some periods of time where he hasn't played before. New team might actually spark him a little bit because, again, like I said with well, actually, he's going with he's joining. Holy shit! Him and David Peterson, they both kind of pitch the same way, and they're both going from the Mets to the Cubs here. Is that really what happened? That's so insane, dude. They're like twins, Clay Holmes and David Peterson. There you go. But maybe like Peterson, maybe Holmes will start pitching well, or he was already pitching well, but maybe he'll be excited to be on a team that is in contention here with the Cubs. You know what I mean? And make the playoffs here. And he's been good against the Royals in the past at 34 at-bats. I'm rambling today. 235 average allowed, 669 OPS. That's pretty good. So I think Holmes is more likely to pitch well here than not, although I know there are professional guys that don't like backing guys coming off a long injury layoff. I kind of do when it's a veteran like Holmes, so I would be okay with that. Seth Lugo is pitching for Kansas City. He's mediocre, 4.41 ERA, 1.39 whip. He's pretty good at home, though, 3.63 home ERA. He is better at home. Struggled last time out. It was in Coors Field, though, but he did walk a ton of guys in that outing. So not exactly great, but he was reasonably good throughout the month of July. He had one bad start in there against the Mets, hilariously. Overall, he's mediocre, like I said. His hit rate's a little bit too high. His walk rate is okay. His strikeout rate is kind of low, so his ratio there isn't really that good, the strikeout-walk ratio. Numbers against the Cubs are actually good, though. In 84 at-bats, 167 average, 487 OPS allowed, 18-5 strikeout-walk ratio. So this might be a decent matchup for Lugo here. He's in the better of his home road splits and pitching against a lineup that, believe it or not, he's actually been good against them, even though they're a good lineup. I think a first 5 under might actually be the way to play this. I think both starting pitchers might actually be able to do it. And the total's high at 9.5, so you're going to be looking at probably like a 5 in the first 5 here. That's a reasonable number for what this starting pitching matchup is. I know it's Kansas City. The walls have been moved in, whatever. But I think that's probably what I would do. And the money seems to be agreeing with the under. 53% of tickets on the over, 89% of the cash on the under. The big concern is obviously the Kansas City bullpen. I would not want to include them in that equation for the under there. That's one thing that could really doom the under. So, yeah, I think the starting pitching might actually be all right here. And the Cubs look way too public. 91% of tickets, 93% of the cash on them. Holmes is probably the better of the starters here, but I don't think it's by a significant margin, and laying minus 160 almost with the Cubs here doesn't seem like the greatest idea to me. That price should be reserved for pitchers that are probably a little bit better than Clay Holmes, let's say. Kansas City gets majorly disrespected in the market, and kind of rightfully so. They suck. They're one of the worst teams, but you're not getting any value playing the Cubs here. You know what I mean? The odds makers know they're going to be public. 91% of tickets, 93% of the cash on them. So I think they're just a public side. I'm kind of surprised that some of the money isn't coming in on Kansas City. It might just be a game where even the professionals are just kind of like, yeah, whatever, I don't really want to do it. I don't know, but usually they do start kind of just coming in and playing that number and being like, oh yeah, there's clearly value on the Kansas City side there. Kansas shitty. Although if you're going to play Kansas City, I think you got to play it first five, like take the run line in the first five. I don't see any other way of really playing Kansas City there because, again, you can't back their bullpen. PCA, I don't know what's going on with him, and he was awful earlier this year, wasn't he? He had a stretch where he was absolutely abysmal, and I think it was this year. So there's no way he's going to win the MVP if that's the case. Well, that was this year, right? Let me see. Am I thinking of last year? Maybe I might be thinking of last year. Let me see. I'm looking at the odds right now. He's actually the favorite to win it in the NL. Shohei Ohtani is very close behind him. And I guess looking at these odds, it's going to be one of the two of them. I don't know, man. I don't really think it's going to be PCA, unless I'm wrong about which season. He had some season where he was god-awful, but maybe that was last year. I don't remember. And it looks like Alvarez is the heavy favorite to win it in the American League. I don't know much about what's going on in the American League. Yordan Alvarez on Houston, that is. Yes. I guess, because he's in the MVP running there. What about the NBA? I don't know. The WNBA is about to have male players, by the way. I'll mention that when I get to the WNBA segment. How about that? I got to finish this off, man. We have way too many games left. Minnesota, Milwaukee. Milwaukee is clearly the better of these two teams here. Milwaukee is one of the best teams in baseball, and I think they have the best record. It's going to be kind of fun. Dude, if Milwaukee can somehow make a run here and win the World Series, I would not hate that. Let's just put it that way. Milwaukee lost yesterday, though. They were kind of in a letdown spot after demolishing the Pirates across three. Oh, they didn't really demolish them, but they won 3 out of 4 games. Bad game for Milwaukee yesterday. They lost to the Twins. Shane Drohan didn't have it yesterday, and Zebby actually outpitched him in the game yesterday. Zebby allowed some unearned runs there, so the fielding wasn't good behind him. But generally, Milwaukee is the better team all around here. Minnesota's bullpen is ass. They used 5 guys yesterday out of the bullpen. Milwaukee only used 2, so they kind of saved their bullpen as well. Milwaukee clearly has a bullpen edge here. They're one of the top bullpens. They're ranked 9th, but I think they're a top 5 bullpen. Minnesota is one of the worst several bullpens. They're 28th, not good. Brewers have been the better offense as well. They're 8th. Minnesota's 12th. Minnesota has at least been capable offensively, though. Taj Bradley is getting the start from Minnesota. If you look at just on the surface, it kind of looks like Minnesota's got the better starter here. Bradley's got the better ERA, 3.69, although his whip is higher than his opponent's whip here, 1.24. Bradley's got some issues with his command still, and he's not quite as good on the road. He's been really good at home this year, but on the road he's been a bit more human with a 4.17 road ERA. He is pitching well, though. He's only allowed more than 3 earned runs once over the last month and a half, or basically 2 months, which was a game on the road against the Cubs, and it might have been a Wrigley wind game or something. I don't really know what that was. He's only allowed more than 2 earned runs one other time across that span, which is his most recent game at Seattle. Maybe that's not a good sign, though, because that's a pitcher-friendly park, although he wasn't exactly bad in that game, but he did walk way too many guys. And he's walked 3 or more in 4 straight outings, so that's not good. Like I said, he has command issues. That's his one problem. He's got a low hit rate, a high strikeout rate. That's all good, but he walks way too many guys, so that's his one drawback here. And he's not been good against the Brewers in the past. In 21 at-bats, 333 average, allowed 983 OPS, 5-1 strikeout walk ratio is all right, but the rest of those numbers are not particularly good. So he hasn't been good against Milwaukee in the past. I don't think he's faced them this year, even though I think they're geographic interleague rivals. So I think this is the second time they're playing each other this year. but the second series, but whatever. Robert Gasser is getting the start for Milwaukee here. I think he's not that bad. He's a little bit under the radar. His ERA is worse than Bradley, so I think the public is going to ignore Gasser here, although the public might want to play the Brewers anyway because they have the better record. But Minnesota's still fighting for the playoffs, man. They think they can actually do it. It makes me laugh, but the AL is absolute trash, so maybe, although I still don't think so, even though I think they might be winning their division right now. Gasser, 4.48 ERA, though, 1.17 whip. 3.13 home ERA for Gasser, so he's been better at home. So the home road splits favor Gasser here, and the command numbers also favor him. He walks way fewer guys than Bradley does. Gasser did have one real implosion recently at Pittsburgh, but other than that, he's been good. Pittsburgh's a good lineup as well, and his other really bad start was at the A's, but we know that's a tough environment to pitch in. He had one bad start really early on in the season against the Dodgers. So basically the trend here is he's been bad in bad pitching environments or against good offenses. So that's what's going on here. Minnesota is good, but they're not as good as those other two teams. Although he did actually pitch against Minnesota really early in the season. He struggled in that one. He's got a low hit rate on the season, though reasonably low. His walk rate is definitely low, so he's a lot better in that department than his counterpart in this game, Bradley. And his strikeout rate is okay. So he doesn't have like the strikeout stuff that Bradley has, but he's also way less wild. So Gasser might be a little bit more consistent than Bradley. Gasser has been good against Minnesota despite what that looked like early in the season. They have 15 at-bats against him out of their current lineup and only a 200 average at 611 OPS, 2-2 strikeout walk ratio. So I actually like Milwaukee in this game. I think there's definitely an argument they have the better starter here, and they obviously have the better bullpen. They have the better offense. They're the better team, and they should be in a bounce-back spot after an ugly game yesterday, which might have kind of been a letdown spot for them. They look public, though. 83% of the tickets, so the public is coming in on the better record, Milwaukee. 87% of the cash, though. Maybe there's some professional money coming in here as well. Looks like maybe not. I don't know. The line hasn't really moved. It's sitting at minus 150, so that kind of worries me if you really want to back Milwaukee here. The odds makers have not really moved this line, but I think that's kind of the only way to really look at this game is to just grab Milwaukee in the full game. If you can find it at below minus 150, maybe the money line is an option or make a minus one run line on it, but then again, they won't bat in the ninth inning necessarily if they're already winning, but at least if they're already winning, that means you'll at worst push that bet if you're on the minus one. So, all right, Baltimore and Texas. This one almost made the cut for me. And since it's a game in Texas, you probably know that means I was eyeing the under in this game. Yesterday's game went way under, 2-1, and I kind of thought it had the look of a low-scoring game, but I was a little bit concerned about those starting pitching in yesterday's game. I think it was Boz against Eovaldi. I think Eovaldi had really bad numbers against the Orioles or something, which is why I laid off that game, really. But he pitched well, it looks like, and Texas won 2-1. So Texas is on a nice little mini run here of 3 wins in a row. They're right there in the mix for the AL West right now, potentially. Texas is going to need to turn around their bullpen issues. They used 3 guys out of the bullpen. They did have to use some of their better relievers, I think, to hold off Baltimore in the game yesterday. Baltimore didn't use anybody, it looks like, out of the bullpen. They might have used, like, starting pitching as relief yesterday. I don't know what they did, unless Boz... maybe Boz went the complete game. I don't know. I haven't looked at the box score. But Baltimore, for that reason, probably does have a bullpen advantage here. They're ranked 11th. They've actually been better than Texas, believe it or not. Texas is 19th. And plus the rest edge probably does give Baltimore a little bit of a bullpen advantage here. Although, remember, Baltimore were sellers at the trade deadline, remember. And Texas has something to play for, and they were not sellers at the trade deadline. So Texas probably has a motivational edge in a matchup like this. Texas is 17th offensively. Baltimore is 20th now, tied with Arizona. Weird thinking about it that Texas might actually be the better offense here. But Baltimore, they were sellers at the trade deadline. Baltimore's got Kyle Bradish going here. He's got a 3.79 ERA, although his whip isn't really that good, 1.36. He's been a little bit worse on the road, 4.23 road ERA. Although the real concern is his opponent batting average on the road is way worse than it is at home, 297 on the road. So he is very hittable on the road. I tried to back him in that last game via the first 5 under against Philly, and I think we got screwed by the rain delay in that one, dude, because it was Bradish against Wheeler, and I think they both got taken out in the third inning of that game. I think there was a rain delay. Then they tried to finish the game, and they wound up cutting it short at 6 innings, but the first 5 plays still, I think all the plays probably still counted. We got kind of screwed in that one, man. I'm kind of pissed off about that because it wasn't really Bradish that allowed most of that damage. He had allowed 2 runs through 3 innings, which at least will kind of keep you in the mix for that under there, especially when he's going up against Zach Wheeler, who didn't allow any runs. So at the point where the starters left the game after 3 innings, it was only a 2-0 game. So I think we got screwed losing that under there. So I'm pissed about that. Do we trust Bradish, though? I don't know. I mean, he had a bad start the previous start against Detroit. But part of the reason I backed him in that Phillies game is because he was at home. He's not at home here, although he was pitching reasonably well for the few starts prior to the Detroit one. He's got a decently low hit rate here. His walk rate is too high, though. Again, another guy who has too many walks. That's the case with him. His strikeout rate is okay. He gets a lot of ground ball outs as well. And he's good against Texas. They don't have much experience against him. 5 hitters have faced him, 15 at bats. 1 extra base hit is a double from Evan Carter. They do have some walks, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts, but a 200 average, 600 OPS. So I think Bradish does actually match up decently here, and it's a decent pitching park. And I think both offenses are somewhat weak here. And Jacob deGrom is pitching for Texas, so that doesn't really that's the least of my concerns as far as the under here. Wanting to back the under here, my main concern is obviously Bradish and the fact that he's not as good on the road, and he's not as good as deGrom, obviously. deGrom, future Hall of Famer, 3.96 ERA, 1.14 whip. He's been better at home as well, 3.04 home ERA. Walked 5 guys last outing on the road against Houston. That was bad. And he's actually been bad in 2 of his last 3 starts. One of them was at home against the White Sox. But I think he'll have an easier go of it here against Baltimore. He's kind of been alternating good and bad starts here. So that would mean he's in line to pitch well here. He does pitch better at home. He actually wasn't great against Baltimore in his first start of the season. But you usually don't want to factor in that first start. You can usually just throw it out. Which is also what I would say to do with Gasser with his first start of the season against Minnesota or whatever. deGrom, I mean, we know deGrom is good, whatever. He's got a pretty low hit rate here. He doesn't really walk anybody, so his walk rate's good. His strikeout rate is high as well, so even though he's old, he still strikes guys out at a pretty elite rate. And he's been really good against Baltimore in 35 at-bats, 15-1 strikeout walk ratio, 143 average, 419 OPS there. Not a huge sample, but it's good enough to gauge something from it. And Baltimore, weakened their offense a little bit at the trade deadline. So, yeah, I still think the under is the way to play it. That one almost made the cut for me. If I was going to add another play today, that's probably what it would be. Baltimore, Texas, under. I think both bullpens are probably backable here, and you'll get the key number, 7.5 there. Money looks like it agrees. 70% of tickets on the over, 62% of the cash on the over. And the money is fading Texas. I'm not so sure about that. Maybe because of the price. I guess you have to pay a little bit of a tax for deGrom here. They're not as I thought they would be a higher price, though, to be honest. They're at minus 140 something. With deGrom against Bradish, I really thought Texas would be a higher price than that, especially given that everybody kind of knows Texas is the one team that's still playing for something. But 79% of tickets, only 68% of the cash on Texas anyway. So the money is perceiving some value on Baltimore here. I mean, you're getting them at an underdog price, and it's a low total, so it's correlated probably. If it's going to be a low-scoring game, Baltimore's more likely to kind of hang around, and maybe they do have the bullpen advantage there, so that might help out with some of their deficiencies they probably do have in the starting pitching, because I think deGrom is obviously the better starter there. All right. But, yeah, that was almost a play for me. Mr. Pinsey, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. All right. Colorado and Cleveland and White Sox. Sorry. Yeah, we got this game right yesterday. Weird game. It was a bad spot for Chicago coming off that 13-inning game against the Red Sox, plus a return home spot, plus Cleveland had the better starter. And then the White Sox made a mistake. Like I said, I don't know what was going on with that. They made an extra mound visit and without realizing it in the first inning, I'm pretty sure, and that required them to remove Schultz from the game. But he started, so the game still counted for us, and lucky, because if I knew Schultz was going to be out in the first inning, I still would have said play Cleveland, obviously, because that would just mean you're pouring it on this already overworked White Sox bullpen. But anyway, yes, we got the win with the Indians yesterday. And the White Sox are going to be somewhat in a bad bullpen state, you would think, after yesterday. Although they wound up only using 2 guys, though. So after Schultz was out of the game, I think I don't know what they did. They must have used some other starter here because Fetty didn't throw that many pitches, and Fetty did pitch a little bit in that Red Sox game, too. I don't know. I don't know what the White Sox did, to be honest. They must have brought in one of their starters to actually kind of finish the game there or get them deep into that game. So they did kind of save their bullpen. They only used 2 guys there, so that's not too bad for the White Sox. Cleveland only used 1 guy, though. So I don't know. I think Cleveland might have a little bit of a bullpen advantage here, although the White Sox have been a little bit better than them. The White Sox are 13th, Cleveland 20th. White Sox do actually have a better bullpen ERA as well, but Cleveland has kind of been better for most of the season, so I'm not so sure about that. Maybe it's close as far as the bullpen scenario here. White Sox are the better offense. They're 16th. Cleveland 29th. Cleveland still struggling offensively. On the surface in this game, Cleveland looks like they have a huge starting pitching advantage here with Gavin Williams. Williams is one of their best starters. He's got a 3.56 ERA, 1.04 whip. He's not quite as good on the road with a 4.34 road ERA, but his road opponent batting average is really good, 213. He's kind of gotten unlucky, it looks like, with the home run ball on the road. And he's been striking out guys at one of the highest rates in baseball. He's got double-digit strikeouts in 5 starts in a row. He's probably the only guy that's done that this year because pitchers just don't even stay in the game long enough now to do that. But Williams is doing that. He's striking out a ton of guys recently. He's not really allowing that many runs either. So, yeah, he's pitching really well here, and he's blowing guys away. Sounds hot. He's got a low hit rate. His walk rate is okay enough, I would say. Home run rate is a little bit high because I think, if he mislocates his fastballs a little bit and whatever, they can get jacked out of the yard. But usually he's causing guys to whiff. 178 strikeouts in 139 innings. That's a high strikeout rate there. Williams against the White Sox, though, he actually hasn't been good against them in the past. 40 at-bats, 300 average, 816 OPS, 12.6 strikeout walk ratio. So those numbers are bad. And I think he has 2 starts against them this year, and one was bad and one was good, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he had a bad one at home, believe it or not, and a bit of a better one on the road, which is where he is here. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know if I want to back Williams, given that he usually isn't that good against the White Sox. But the White Sox are going with Anthony Kay. He's clearly not as good as Williams. 4.01 ERA. I think it's misrepresenting him. 1.35 whip is not really that good. Kay has been okay at home. 3.24 home ERA. So he's been a little bit better at home. Pitched well last time out at Tampa Bay. Shut them out for 6 1/3 innings. So kind of a surprisingly good start from him there. He hasn't allowed that many runs recently, but he's also not really going deep into most of his starts. So that's the thing. He's kind of going out there and he's not killing his team. He's keeping them in these games. But yeah, he's pitching with a lot of mediocrity, let's say, which is better than being horrible, I guess. His hit rate is mediocre. His walk rate, I would say, is mediocre. His strikeout rate is not great, a little bit low. Again, mediocrity. He's been good against Cleveland, though, in 23 at-bats. Not a huge sample, but 174 average allowed, 443 OPS. So he actually has the better matchup numbers here, hilariously. He pitched twice against Cleveland this year. Once he went pretty deep into the game here at home, and he pitched well in that one. And the other one, he wasn't bad, but they kind of limited his pitches in the one at Cleveland. But he was kind of good in both of those outings. So what do we do with this game? I mean, it looks like it is kind of a bounce-back spot, debatably, for the White Sox because they lost in the return home spot yesterday. Maybe they will bounce back here. You're getting them as an underdog, and it kind of has to be that way because Cleveland is they definitely have the better starting pitcher generally here, but the matchup numbers kind of negate that a little bit. Minus 120-something is the price on Cleveland. The money is playing Cleveland. 62% of tickets, 91% of the cash on them. I mean, I see the argument for it. The argument is Williams is better than Kay, which, yes, I agree with that. But again, given what the matchup numbers look like, given that it might be a better situation for the White Sox here, maybe you could make the argument for grabbing the White Sox here as the underdog on the money line. I'm not going to do it, but, could potentially be a bounce back from them. But both teams are going to be motivated because they're fighting for the division and whatever. All right, we have 5 games left to talk about. I do have 1 play left, and I have 1 WNBA play as well, so I'll be back and talk about all that in a second. Yep. Inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What can this slump that I'm on? The slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. I'm gonna burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. Broke the slump yesterday as the slump discontinues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. All right, Colorado, St. Louis. By the way, a lot of these games are on Fox. Baltimore, Texas, Cleveland, Chicago, Detroit, San Francisco are all on Fox, which I forgot to mention. A's and Boston are on Fox Sports 1 for whatever reason. I guess because the Red Sox are the major hype train right now. But you actually get 2 interesting young pitchers in that A's and Red Sox game, so there is that. What else? Oh, yes, Colorado, St. Louis, yes. St. Louis won the game yesterday despite being in a return home spot and coming off beating the Yankees. I thought it wasn't a great spot for them, and they still won the game. 3-2, low scoring in St. Louis, man. It's a pitcher-friendly ballpark. These bullpens are both pretty bad, though. St. Louis used 4 guys. Colorado used 3, but I would not trust these bullpens. Colorado's 27th. St. Louis not much better at 22nd. Colorado's the better offense. They're ranked 5th, although their offense might take a dip here in this stadium, like I said yesterday, and it did happen yesterday. St. Louis 25th, tied with the Angels. I think Jordan Walker was out for a bit, but he is back for St. Louis, so he's their young, up-and-coming bat there, who I believe he won the home run derby, right? So he was injured for a little bit, but he's back. On the surface, this looks like a pretty ugly pitching matchup. Kyle Freeland is pitching for Colorado. Obviously not good numbers here because he's a Colorado pitcher. 6.81 ERA, 1.49 whip. Somehow he's worse on the road than he is at Coors Field. This year, 8.29 road ERA, really bad. He's not good on the road. He had a really good start last time out against Kansas City in Coors Field. Complete game, gave up 1 run and won the game against Kansas City. Really good start from him. Is that going to continue? No, I don't think so. I mean, he's bad on the road. He's generally not a good pitcher. Kansas City is notorious for not being a good offense on the road, even though that was in Coors Field. But Kansas City, as we know, was the one team besides the Red Sox to play an entire series of unders in the A's stadium this year. Freeland has a really high hit rate. He's way too hittable. He allows a lot of home runs. He doesn't walk guys, but he's throwing up bad in practice, man. It's not good. And he doesn't really strike that many guys out either. Yeah, I don't trust him here, although his numbers against St. Louis are actually good. 192 average, allowed 645 OPS, 26 at bats, 5-1 strikeout walk ratio. So if there's going to be another matchup where he does pitch well, it would be something like this, where he draws a pretty weak offense that doesn't do well against him in a pitcher-friendly park. Those things will at least help him a little bit, I suppose. Matthew Liberatore is pitching for St. Louis here. He's not very good. 4.97 ERA. 1.49 whip is definitely not good. He's slightly better at home, maybe 4.8 home ERA. I think for a lot of the season he wasn't as good at home. I don't remember. But he's not really that good, although he had a really good outing last time out as well. He shut down Toronto for 6 shutout innings, only allowing 1 hit. Really good outing from him, but is that going to continue? I would imagine not. I mean, Toronto's a bad offense. The Rockies are going to be a step up from that. He's got a high hit rate on the season. His walk rate's not really that good. His strikeout rate is decent. kind of allows a lot of home runs as well. I don't like these pitchers here, man. And his numbers against the Rockies are really bad. In 18 at-bats, it's not a huge sample, but 389 average allowed, 1,032 OPS. Yeah, that's bad. There's an argument for the Rockies in this game. It would have to be a first 5 play, obviously, and the money is coming in on the Rockies. Freeland has the better matchup numbers, as you just saw. 85% of the tickets are on St. Louis, 66% of the cash on Colorado. Nobody's going to want to play the Rockies in basically like any scenario. And the line has legitimately moved towards Colorado, so there's real money coming in on Colorado here. St. Louis dropped from minus 163 to minus 148, basically. So, yeah, it looks like it's a legitimate play on Colorado. I would say, again, if you do that, I would probably take like the half run in the first 5. Definitely don't factor in their bullpen. Like, do not include their bullpen. And I think the other way to play this is probably to go over the total, even though I know I just said that it's a pitcher-friendly ballpark, but this looks like a pretty bad starting pitching matchup. I mean, the bullpens aren't really that good either. So this game, I think an over does make some sense. It's 8.5 right now, so it dropped off that key number of 9 early. But the money looks like it is coming in on the over. 66% of tickets, 88% of the cash on the over. So I think those are the options in that game. My preference would probably be over out of the two, but I do see the argument for Colorado. All right. All games should be on TV. Well, just use the internet, man, if you know what I mean. You can watch any MLB game. All right. Detroit and San Francisco. I was surprised that San Francisco won yesterday. They were going with like a bullpen game. They wound up announcing Brubaker as their starter yesterday against Keeter Montero and against a Tigers team that's actually had a good season and seems to still be playing with a lot of motivation, even though they traded away guys at the trade deadline. Like, I said it's not out of the question that the Tigers make the playoffs, and you could bet that at like 5-1 right now or something. Tigers to make the playoffs. They have 2 paths to get there, too. They could get a wild card spot, although right now it's looking like it would have to be the 3rd wild card spot because it looks very likely that the top 2 wild cards in the AL are going to be coming from the AL East, and I would say it's going to be the Red Sox and the Rays, to be honest. Like, I still think the Yankees are going to win that division. Maybe not, but either way you look at it, yeah, there's basically 1 wild card spot that's really kind of up for grabs in the AL right now. And I think Detroit might be able to get it. I mean, I don't think their competition for it is really that impressive. So, yeah, it's interesting. It would make, like I said yesterday, it would make sense that an AL Central team that traded away at the trade deadline would sneak into the playoffs like Cleveland did last year. Detroit could still win their division, too. So they have another path to get there as well. They're not completely out of that running yet either. Like, do you really think the Twins are actually going to, do you really, like, are the Twins really competition to win that division? I don't think so. Cleveland is because their pitching is good. I don't really think the White Sox are either, though, man. The White Sox are just young, like inexperienced. Their pitching isn't good enough, in my opinion. So I think it's either going to be the Tigers or the Indians that win that division. Anyway, I'm rambling, but some future stuff there. I'm surprised that San Francisco won yesterday. We're going to see what happens today in this one. I don't like San Francisco's bullpen. They used a bunch of guys. They used 5 guys yesterday. I think Detroit has a bullpen edge here. They only use 2 guys, so they're a more rested bullpen here. Detroit is 15th in bullpen here. Giants have struggled. They're 24th. So, yeah, Detroit should have a bullpen edge here. I think they have the better offense as well. Detroit is 10th right now, which is not bad. And San Francisco 14th, tied with the Yankees. But like I said, their numbers are being skewed by some kind of outlier results, and I don't think they're that good. Do we really want to come in and back Detroit here, though, with Jackson Jobe starting? Is that how you pronounce his name? I remember him from last year, and I don't know what to expect out of him, man. 4.22 ERA last year. This is all last year. 1.49 whip was not good, though. But he hasn't pitched yet this year, so he's pitched in the majors since 2024. He had a couple of relief appearances back then. Then last year, he was a starter for Detroit, and he walked way too many guys. That was his issue. He didn't really have a huge strikeout rate, but his main issue was the walks, man. So I think he's a mediocre pitcher. Like, he doesn't have great strikeout stuff, but if he was able to hold guys off the base pass, that would be nice. If he stopped walking guys, he'd be decent. The Giants have not done well against him particularly. They have 4 guys who have faced him, 7 at bats, 143 average, 543 OPS, 2 strikeouts, 3 walks. So he does draw a decent matchup here, I think, against an offense that I consider to be pretty weak. And they traded away Arias at the trade deadline, which should help Philadelphia offensively a bit, by the way. And this is a pitcher-friendly park as well, so this is not the worst matchup, I would say, for Joby. Landon Raup is pitching for the Giants. He's all right. He walks too many guys, dude. He's got decent strikeout stuff, and he's not a guy that's like a flamethrower. Like, he throws some like really, really crazy breaking stuff and gets guys to swing and miss at that shit. Like just curveballs that just dive out of the zone and stuff like that. 4.34 ERA, 1.29 whip, though. Mediocre stuff there. He's slightly better at home, 4.25 home ERA. Been walking a ton of guys, though. Like I said, 3 or more walks in 3 of his last 4 outings. That's a concern. Last time out, he struggled through his outing at San Diego. That's not a good sign. Not a good offense in San Diego, and it was a pitcher-friendly park in San Diego. Yeah, he's been pretty bad over his last couple starts. He's got a pretty good hit rate, though. He's hard to hit. He has a pretty good strikeout rate. Gets a lot of ground balls, but he walks a ton of guys. Again, yet another guy where that's the issue. Way too many walks. He's got to get that down, and he's not been good against Detroit so far. Not a huge sample. 6 hitters have faced him, 11 at bats, but they have a 364 average, 916 OPS, 2-2 strikeout walk ratio. So, yeah, I mean, it looks like Detroit might actually have the edge here. Maybe they're in bounce back mode. They've been playing with motivation despite being sellers at the trade deadline, but the money is fading them. 69% of tickets, 59% of the cash on Detroit. The public is going to want nothing to do with San Francisco because their record is bad. But there is still like a motivational thing here, man, where Detroit looks like they're still playing for something, and San Francisco is not, even though both teams sold at the trade deadline. San Francisco's just done for the season, but they did win yesterday, so yes, I know. They're not just like throwing games. Although, you know, I do think that some games are rigged in certain ways. Now, the money line has flipped towards Detroit. It opened with San Francisco kind of being a slight favorite, and now Detroit is a slight favorite here. Money is also backing the over pretty strongly at over 8 here. I could see the argument for that. I mean, you get 2 guys that are just kind of out of control as far as their pitching, so maybe there is an argument for the over here. It's not going to be a game that I want to get involved in, man. I was kind of leaning towards Detroit again there, but the money has me pretty dissuaded by that as well. So, yeah, I'm not doing anything with that. Houston and San Diego. Houston won the game 6-3 yesterday. I mentioned that I leaned Houston in the game yesterday. They had a rest advantage in the game yesterday. And I wasn't really sold on Robbie Ray making his debut for San Diego, and he wasn't that good in that game. San Diego does have a good bullpen. They use 2 guys out of the bullpen, so they do probably have a bullpen advantage here. Houston used 5. That's not great. San Diego's ranked 8th in bullpen right now, but I think they're like a top 5 bullpen probably. Houston has been pretty good recently. Their ERA is below 4, which is crazy given how bad they were at the beginning of the season. Houston's 10th in the bullpen now, so they're by no means bad, but I think San Diego's is better. Houston is the better offense. Houston is 6th. San Diego is 24th. Houston's going with Peter Lambert here. Lambert's had a good season for them, man. 3.06 ERA, 1.13 whip. He's been pretty good on the road as well. 2.89 road ERA. Kind of similar both home and away. He's still pitching well, and with him, you got to worry about the innings pitched, but not really yet. He's barely over 100, so I wouldn't be that worried about that yet either. He's allowed 2 or fewer earned runs in every start going back through the beginning of July, and going back through the beginning of June, he only allowed more than that one time. So going back through his last start in May, in fact, he's got a low hit rate here. His walk rate is okay. Strikeout rate is right around 1 per inning, which is pretty good. So yeah, I think he's been pretty legit. He's been good. However, San Diego's seen a decent amount of him because he pitched for Colorado. And I would take this with a little bit of a grain of salt because some of these numbers probably were accumulated in Coors Field, which did not go well for him. And he seems to be a way better pitcher now, but this San Diego lineup has gotten the best of him, and it's a decent sample. 46 at-bats, 391 average, 1102 OPS, 4-3 strikeout walk ratio. So that has me concerned about Lambert here. This might be one of the lesser matchups for him here, like one of the worst matchups he could draw here. San Diego is a pitcher-friendly park still, though, but San Diego's going with Michael King, who is one of the only good starters they have. Although they did pick, I think Mize is going to turn it around again, though, after his first start was bad. I thought that was a good pickup for San Diego. King has been pretty steady for them, though. 3.45 ERA, 1.2 whip, although the advanced analytics guys have some issues with him because he doesn't strike guys out. But he's been solid for multiple years at this point. He's been pretty good at home, 3.36 home ERA. He's just pitching pretty well, man. I mean, I don't really have many negative things here to say about him. He's had kind of like a couple of bad starts in here, but for the most part, he's been good. He's hard to hit. He has a really low hit rate. His walk rate is a little bit high, so that's a little bit of a concern with him, and his strikeout rate isn't really that high. The walks are kind of the main issue with him, man, and that really hasn't been as much of an issue with him in the past, I don't think. He's been good against Houston in his career, though, in 81 at-bats, a lot of at-bats, 185 average, 513 OPS, 28-6 strikeout walk ratio. And I thought San Diego was in kind of a negative spot yesterday. They were returning home from Arizona, and that was a big series against Arizona. Not really a long trip, but still, maybe San Diego's in a little bit of a bounce back here. I think I would lean San Diego on the money line here, full game. I think they get the bullpen edge here as well. The matchup numbers are indicating towards King here. 60% of tickets, 63% of the cash on them. Not really a strong market read coming in here. There is a read towards the over at 8. I don't really have an opinion on that. When I first looked at this pitching matchup, I was thinking an under. You know what I mean? Because you have two decent bullpens here and two, I think, decent starters. So my thought was under, and I kind of still lean towards the under in that game as well. And it's a pitcher-friendly park, but I think San Diego might be the way to really lean in that game. All right, Dodgers in Arizona. Dodgers have lost 7 games in a row, man. And the Dodgers were winning the game in the 9th inning last night, and that was the first time all season the Dodgers lost a game that they were winning in the 9th inning. I believe they were 65-0 when winning in the 9th inning. So most of their wins factor into that. That was the first time they blew a game in the 9th inning all year. Arizona won the game 4-3. Really ridiculous. If LA loses this game today with Yamamoto on the mound when they have an actual good starter on the mound, there's something wrong here. You know what I mean? They have to do something here to stop the bleeding. Like, I know they had a huge lead in the division. They're going to win the division anyway, but they got to stop this bleeding, man. They don't want to give Arizona a sense of hope here because Arizona is in second place in this division, and they're, I think, only about 7 games out now. Arizona, maybe even less than that. Arizona used 4 guys out of the bullpen yesterday. Dodgers used 3. I think the Dodgers are the slightly better bullpen, even though they're ranked 12th, and their whip isn't really that great. Arizona's is 6th. Arizona's ERA is not considerably worse, but worse. And I don't think either are as good as where they're ranked there in whip. The Dodgers obviously have an offensive edge. They're number 1, and their offense has been good on the road this year, although not yesterday. Arizona's 20th offensively, tied with Baltimore. Yoshinobu Yamamoto is pitching for the Dodgers. Like I said, he's got to be the one to come in and stop the bleeding, man. I mean, he's a World Series MVP at this point. He's had a great season here, 2.76 ERA, 0.88 whip. He's even better on the road, by the way, 2.17 road ERA. I don't think he's going to pitch poorly here, obviously, but the Dodgers offense is going to have to kind of do something here to get them this win as well. It can't just be Yamamoto, but he's been good. He pitches deep into games. He's one of the only guys that consistently goes deep into outings. That's just what he does. He's got a low hit rate, low walk rate. Strikeout rate isn't that high, but it's not really a concern with him because he's just a really good pitcher, man. He just doesn't allow much of anything, and he's good against Arizona, and 103 at-bats, a big sample, 30-8 strikeout walk ratio, 194 average, 582 OPS. Everything looks good for him here. Brandon Pfaadt is pitching for Arizona, though, and something's going to have to give here because one streak has to end here. Either the Dodgers, no, both streaks could continue. What am I saying? Either both streaks are going to end right here or both streaks are going to continue because we have the Dodgers on a 7-game losing streak and we have Arizona on a 7-game winning streak with Pfaadt starting. So if the Dodgers win, both of those streaks are going to get busted. And you know me, I like to bet on streak busters like that, but I can't do it here because the price is way too high on the Dodgers. But Fott, I mean, he's also turned it around since they sent him to the minors. He's been good since they called him back up. Overall, he has a 3.66 ERA, 1.26 whip. So his season-long numbers have gotten way better with this turnaround that he's had. He's been worse ERA-wise at home, 4.17 home ERA, but his opponent batting average is lower at home, so it's kind of been the home run ball that's skewing those numbers a little bit. And yeah, his home run issues, he's had issues with the home runs this year, but after he allowed one in his return from the minors, he hasn't allowed a home run since then. And he's mostly faced bad offenses, I will give you that. He did face the Dodgers in there, though, and he did reasonably well against the Dodgers in that mix, too, although mostly he faced bad offenses, except for Dodgers and Pittsburgh. But again, like I said, he's been good since coming back up. Arizona's undefeated in his starts as he's come back up. 7 wins in a row, I'm pretty sure is what that is. His hit rate is now below 1 per inning, so that's all right. His walk rate's not too bad. His strikeout rate is still low. He doesn't strike guys out, but obviously he's turned his season around. He's in way better form right now. However, the Dodgers do usually get to him. They have 159 at-bats, 296 average, 836 OPS, 31-9 strikeout walk ratio. So why am I not going to play the Dodgers here? I mean, I like the Dodgers in this game. I think they're going to win, but you're laying minus 170 with them basically here. I don't like the price, and I don't really want to fade what Fott has been doing recently. 91% of tickets, 92% of the cash on the Dodgers, so they're a heavily public side. And yes, they should win. I think they have the edge, especially in the starting pitching here. You have to lay like a run line with the Dodgers if you do want to play them. It's not out of the question. I mean, you're going to get all 9 innings of at-bats if you're going to play the run line in the full game or whatever. You could limit it to the first 5 and avoid, the bullpen scenario where it's not clear which team has the better bullpen here. And just go with Yamamoto to outpitch Fott. That's a consideration in this game as well. Some way of playing the Dodgers makes sense. I was wrong about them going over their team total yesterday, though. It was a low-scoring game. The other way that I was thinking about this game when I first saw the pitching matchup, I was thinking under because Fott has been so good recently. I mean, he hasn't been like dominant or anything like that, but he's definitely been way better. And Yamamoto's very good. So it looked like an under to me. The total's at 8.5. The money is coming in on the under. 54% of tickets, 87% of the cash on the under. But I do have my concerns about Fott not having a good history against LA. So I think LA is still probably the better way to look at that game. But you got to lay like a run line with it. And I'm just not going to do it as a heavy road favorite that's just way too public. Last game, that means is my last play. So I'm bookending the day with the 2 plays. I have a play in the first game of the day and the last game of the day. So they're both going to be isolated. Let's do this. And I think people are not going to like this. I don't think anybody's going to want this. We're going to take the Seattle Mariners on the money line here against Tampa Bay. Something's got to give here, man. I know Seattle's been very bad offensively this year, but I think the pitching matchup favors them here. They lost again yesterday. I think they're going to be in bounce-back mode here, man. They had to face Rasmussen yesterday. They're not facing him today. So they get Tampa Bay is having a downgrade with their starting pitching here at the very least. Seattle got embarrassed in their series against the Tigers. I know they've been horrible offensively recently. I get it. And this is a pitcher-friendly ballpark. But I think Seattle's pitching might be able to get them some of the way here, too. I think they're going to win this game. I still don't think Seattle's as bad as they look. And they got to have more motivation here, man, than Tampa at this point. I mean, Tampa, they have some decent padding in the AL East right now. Tampa Bay is obviously going to make the playoffs. Seattle's like fighting for their lives to stay in the playoff race here, either as a wild card, which I think might be out of the question at this point, or they're going to have to win their division probably. Now, one thing that does help here is that Tampa Bay is not good on the road. They're way better at home. And with yesterday's win, they just pulled to 500 on the road. So they've been a losing team on the road all season. Seattle is better at home. Seattle's a losing team on the season, but they're better at home. So the home road splits for the teams do favor Seattle here. Seattle obviously doesn't have the better hitting. I'm not going to try to claim that they do. That's their one disadvantage here. But I don't think Tampa Bay is like an elite offense by any means. Seattle is the better bullpen, in my opinion. They used 3 guys yesterday. Tampa Bay did have to save the game yesterday, and they used 3 guys as well. But they were in a save situation, I'm pretty sure, yesterday. They must have, because Seattle's the home team. So the road team can't have a walk-off win is what I mean. Tampa Bay is ranked number 2 in bullpen now, but I don't think that's accurate. Their ERA is a lot higher than a lot of these other teams. I think they're like a top 10 bullpen probably, but not number 2. Seattle is ranked 17th, but their ERA is better than Tampa Bay. It's just their whip is worse. And whip is an indicator of something, but I don't think there's much of a gap here between these bullpens, and I actually think Seattle's might be slightly better. So I'm going to leave them in the equation here, although if you wanted to go first 5 with this, you could do that as well. I think Seattle's pitching, starting pitching might get us deeper into this game too, though. We'll talk about that in a minute. Yes, I know Seattle's offense is ass. They're 28th. Speaking of ass, Big Dumper has been the huge problem. What is going on with him? Cal Raleigh. He goes from being MVP to being one of the worst hitters in baseball. It makes no sense. Like, you'd think that, okay, he's not going to have another MVP caliber season, fine. He's still got to be a good hitter. Like, I don't know what's going on. Seattle has some talented hitters, and I just don't know what's going on with them. Tampa Bay is ranked 9th, and they do have Caminero, who is in the MVP running right now. So Tampa Bay does have some good hitters there. Tampa Bay's the better offense, no doubt about that. But I think we have a starting pitching edge here. Griffin Jax is pitching for Tampa Bay. He's got decent numbers, 3.63 ERA, 1.21 whip, but he is still a converted reliever here, man. Tampa Bay gets the most out of their pitching, that's true, but we're not talking about Drew Rasmussen here. Jax has not been as good on the road, 4.06 road ERA, so Tampa Bay as a team and Jax both have not been as good on the road. His opponent batting average goes up to 271 on the road, so you could definitely fade him when he's on the road. He did pitch well last time out at home. He's had 3 good starts in a row. That's true. Had kind of a struggle against the Red Sox prior to that. He did pitch against Seattle back on July 11th at home, so where Tampa is better. And he was good in that start, but he only lasted 5 innings, and he walked 3 guys. So he got a little bit lucky that he didn't allow more than 1 run there. And he is kind of on a pitch count here. So Tampa Bay is possibly going to be the first team to dip into their bullpen here. They're letting Jax go about like 5 innings exactly. So if they go to the bullpen earlier, that might help us out here as well. Jax does have a low hit rate on the season. His walk rate isn't too bad either. His strikeout rate is actually good. So yes, his numbers are actually pretty good across the board here. But against Seattle, generally, he has not done well. In 43 at-bats, they have a 349 average against him, 1,100 OPS. Big Dumper has done well against him, 4 for 6 with a double and a home run against him and 4 walks. They got 12 strikeouts and 10 walks against him. So I think Seattle can actually get to him for some runs here, which, yeah, he's not Rasmussen. Like I said, I thought Rasmussen would pitch well yesterday. I don't think the same thing about Jackson. Yes, Rasmussen was good yesterday. I mentioned the under looked like the right way to go yesterday, and it definitely was, but I was worried about Logan Gilbert not being good against Tampa Bay. I'm not worried about that with George Kirby here, even though I think Gilbert is better than George Kirby. Kirby's got a 3.76 ERA, 1.28 whip is not really that good. But Kirby is better at home, so we do have the better home road splits in favor of Kirby here. 3.51 home ERA with a much lower opponent batting average at home, which makes sense. It's a pitcher-friendly park here. Kirby was really good last time out at home against Minnesota. He was bad in the start before that at Texas. Kirby just has these random starts where he just gives up a ton of home runs, and I think as long as that doesn't happen here, I think we're going to be in this play, like start to finish, and it hasn't happened to him much. He's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in every start going all the way back to the beginning of June when he had kind of a bad start here at home against the Mets, which I know isn't a great sign, but he seems to have turned things around and started pitching a lot better since then. He does have a high hit rate. That is a concern that he's kind of hittable here, but he doesn't walk anybody. His strikeout rate is okay. And the clincher for me was that he's pretty good against Tampa Bay in 50 at-bats, 12-3 strikeout walk ratio, 240 average, allowed 623 OPS. So I think he can pitch well here. I think it's a bounce-back spot for Seattle. I think we get the home road splits in our favor with the teams and the starting pitching. I like Seattle's bullpen a little bit better as well. Public probably is not going to like this, and the money doesn't even agree with me. 66% of tickets, 95% of the cash on Tampa Bay. So it looks like I'm fading the market read in actually both games that I gave out today. Is the market read still that way in the... No, it looks like the market read is kind of agreeing with me on that under I gave out at the beginning of the show. But whatever. I like Seattle here. Nobody's going to want them, I don't think. But it looks like public and professionals are all taking Tampa Bay, the better record. But I don't think so. I think it looks too easy, doesn't it? To say, oh, Tampa Bay won yesterday. Tampa Bay has the better record. Seattle's looked like ass recently. The public always likes the better offense. Like, it seems way too easy to take Tampa Bay as the underdog here. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to play Seattle as a small favorite there. Let's do that. All right. Hindian, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Raleigh. Some people were saying it's because he's a catcher and the wear has taken its toll on him. But, I mean, come on. There have been catchers that have hit well throughout their entire careers. You know what I mean? Like, that was a thing. Maybe it's not a thing now so much. But, you know, you had... Back when I was growing up, you had catchers that were good hitters. I mean, I don't know. You had Jason Varitek and Jorge Posada and whatever. Mike Piazza, Pudge Rodriguez, all those guys. I don't know. I mean, there weren't that many of them, but there were enough. There were a handful of them. I don't know. Anyway, yes, we're going to the WNBA here until I die. Yes. So WNBA, yes, sorry, wrong comment. Yes, the WNBA has male players. Well, yeah, they have Brittany Griner. But other than that, you saw what's happening with the WNBA. As we transition to WNBA talk before I have to leave here, which has to happen soon, WNBA, it's hilarious what's going on with the WNBA because we had this whole thing. Sophie Cunningham is calling them out, you know, saying we should not have men in women's sports. She's obviously right. Like, there's a reason why the WNBA, the only reason why it exists is because it's a sport for women. And unless you're deluding yourself, you know that just biologically, men are stronger than women. They're more athletic than women. They're more physical than women. In a game like this, men will dominate against women if you let men play in a women's sport. That's the way that it is. Sophie Cunningham is right. And she's just speaking reality. It shouldn't even be that hard to do it. Although for Caitlin Clark, it apparently is. Clark is refusing to comment on it, even though I think she agrees with Sophie. But I'm like, back up your teammate. Come on, Caitlin, what are you doing? So Sophie Cunningham is obviously my favorite player. Plus, she's hotter than Caitlin Clark, so whatever. But anyway, yeah. And speaking of all that, Minnesota is playing today, and you probably won't like what I have to say about that, but I'm just telling you who I think is going to win these games, man. That's all I'm doing here. But Minnesota obviously had their stupid coach, the fat lesbian with the, mutilate children's genitals shirt on and whatever. Absolutely ridiculous. But what I was going to say is it's hilarious because there's this whole uproar and Minnesota's crowd was all going after Sophie Cunningham. Well, all right, maybe you're going to get what you wanted because now it looks like there are actually men who are NBA players who didn't quite make it in the NBA or are kind of out of the NBA now that are just like, fuck it, I'm going to play in the WNBA now. You want to go on with the silliness? Let's do it. And I don't know if you guys saw this, but it was Enos Cantor or Anus. How do you pronounce his name? I have no idea. Enes. I should know because he used to be on the Celtics briefly, but Enes Cantor, the guy who got banned from his home country of Turkey for saying something negative about their president. Although, I think, I don't know, man. He's probably like a pro-Israel guy, but I don't know. Cantor, but it is hilarious what he's doing right now. He changed his name to Enos Cantor Freedom, by the way. He's out of the NBA now, and he just came out and said he's declaring for the WNBA draft in 2027. If you haven't seen it, I think he's serious. Go watch the video. It's hilarious. He had a WNBA hoodie on, and he was like, my lawyers and I have my agent and I, whatever, have looked over all the rules, and the rules allow for this. Like, he's like, they should allow me to be they should allow me to have a chance to participate in this league and not be discriminatory. I'm like, this is hilarious, dude. And I think other male players that are like NBA caliber players have also started doing that too. It's gonna be the end of the WNBA. It's gonna be absolutely hilarious if there's an influx of men, especially men that are. Do you know how hard it is to be a guy that's good enough to make the NBA? And do you think that the WNBA players are going to be able to compete against male players who are good enough to be in the NBA. There's no way. And Cantor, I think, would be the tallest person in the WNBA right off the bat because he's like 6'10", and I think probably the tallest players are like Griner and Asia Wilson, whatever. They're like 6'9", basically, whatever. He might not be the tallest, but he'll be one of the tallest, and he'll be the best player in the league immediately. It's just so ridiculous. It's so foolish, and I hope it happens. It's hilarious. And then I won't have to handicap WNBA anymore. Although the only good thing about it is that we can make money doing it, and we've been doing that on the show. Yeah, Cal Raleigh is young. I don't know. Somewhat young. Yes, Sophie Cunningham. Probably not the hottest in the entire league, but yeah, definitely. I go for more shorter chicks, though. I'm going to look at some of the guards in the WNBA. Maybe some of them are hot. There used to be some. I don't know. Brittany Griner set the whole precedent. Anyway, the big game of the day is Vegas and Minnesota. This could be a potential championship preview because I think these are the top two teams in the league, and the playoffs don't separate by conference, so it's based on the league-wide records. So these two teams could match up in the championship theoretically, especially if they wind up ranked number 1 and number 2. This game's on CBS and Paramount Plus in the afternoon at 1 p.m. Eastern. The league is just helping Minnesota, though, man. If you look at, I think Minnesota's going to win this game. They're the better team, but I think the setup is better for them in this game too. Like, look at what the league did to. They're playing they're playing Vegas here, but look at what the league did as far as the scheduling is concerned, which you'll see in a minute. Minnesota is staying at home for a third straight game, and they did have a big win over Indiana a couple games ago, which was that big game where it was the crowd against Sophie Cunningham and the refs screwed Indiana and whatever. Well, after that game, I said Minnesota was in a sandwich spot after that big win and with this Vegas game looming. And what did they do? They lost outright as 16.5-point favorites to the LA Sparks. And I said that I leaned to the Sparks plus the points. That should have been my play on Thursday. I gave up Vegas instead that day, but Vegas won as well. But it was a little bit difficult for Vegas. LA just won that game. But you know what I always say. When a team is a massive favorite like Minnesota and they have a bad game like that and they lose, there's a reason for it a lot of times. You could tell what it was. They just completely looked past LA, obviously. They just beaten Indiana. They had Vegas on deck, then Dallas. The LA game was the least of all those games, so they overlooked them. They got caught. Obviously, I think they bounced back here, but the one problem is they did lose a long win streak, so that would concern me a little bit with Minnesota here. And you know I talk about when a team loses a win streak like that and they'd won 10 games in a row, it's like you're not used to losing anymore, and sometimes that will hang you over into the next game. So that is a concern with Minnesota, that they are in a momentum-stopping spot here, kind of, which is not great. Vegas, though, this is what I was talking about with the scheduling makers, plus the refs are helping Minnesota out. Vegas is in a much more difficult spot here. Vegas is playing a fourth straight road game here. They've had some difficult road games here, and they just beat Atlanta, and then they beat Indiana in overtime, and that was the winner I gave out on the show the other night. Vegas had to overcome a 20-point deficit early in that game, which they actually did fairly quickly, and then they were actually leading for most of the second half, believe it or not. They did have to go into overtime. They won on a buzzer beater, which I think was by Chelsea Gray. Vegas is good. There's no doubt about that. They're the second-best team behind Minnesota, but Minnesota is far and away the best team in this league, unfortunately, and that is why they're like 5.5-point favorites probably in this game, and I think they cover as well. I think the spot's just not very good for Vegas. They played on Thursday. I believe Minnesota also did, so they have the same rest scenario here, but Vegas, yeah, right, I already talked about that, right? I just mentioned they did both play on the same night, but yeah, Vegas playing a fourth straight road game like this, playing a few big-time battles in a row here. Of course, they're going to get up for this game, and there are maybe some concerns with the situation for Minnesota, but I think Minnesota's going to win the game, and I believe this is a revenge spot as well, if I'm not mistaken. Minnesota, I believe, lost early in this. Yeah, Minnesota did lose. Their first loss of the season was at the Aces. So Minnesota actually lost in Vegas. So that's the only time they played them, I'm pretty sure. It was a close game. It was a high-scoring game. It was a 3-point loss. So Minnesota probably remembers that and might make some adjustments off of that. I would play Minnesota if I was going to play this. You're laying about 5 with them here. 56% of tickets are on Vegas. 77% of the cash on Minnesota. And this is kind of like what I said with Minnesota and Indiana. It's one of those games that has the vibe where the public is going to think, oh, this is an epic matchup, two good teams, and then they see that they get a huge amount of points or what they perceive as a big amount of points with the underdog and they want to take the underdog, I would not do that here. I would lay the points if I was going to play that game. All right. Unfortunately, yeah. Next game will be my play in WNBA. You know what I'm going to do. I'm going to take Chicago again. I think they're the team that I've played the most this year, but I think they're in a good spot. We're fading Sophie. I'm sorry, but I like money. I like to win. This is at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, so we'll have 2 afternoon games today. This is on ABC. This is a bad spot for Indiana, dude. Like I said, Indiana's coming off that huge game against Vegas where they had Vegas on the ropes and they blew a 20-point lead in that game. And I was on Vegas in that one. I gave you guys Vegas as a play. We got the win. It was tough to get there, but it happened. I didn't like the spot for Indiana because they were returning home. They'd had a huge game the game prior to that, which was the game against Minnesota that I mentioned, where Indiana almost got close to winning that game. They made a huge comeback late and almost got back in it. Like, they were only down a couple points with a couple minutes left in that game. So I thought they were going to be in a flat spot against Vegas. They put up a huge effort again, but Vegas was able to hold Indiana's offense down, and that's what I thought would happen, and that is what happened. Like, Indiana is a very offensive team. They're not very good defensively, although Chicago isn't exactly a good defense either. I'd like this a lot better if Chicago was a slow-down defensive team, and maybe Chicago, given what this matchup is, maybe they'll try to slow Indiana down, hopefully, because that's what we want here. We're taking an underdog. We're taking an underdog with a big total today, but it's all about the spot here for me. Indiana just played those 2 huge games against Minnesota and Vegas, and now they're going back out on the road. Even though it's a short road trip to play Chicago, like, how much focus are they going to have after those 2 huge games, overtime on Thursday, 2 days ago against Vegas? Now they play this weak Chicago team, and then after that, they got a huge ESPN game against the Liberty on Tuesday up next. This is a sandwich spot, even though they did just beat the Liberty not long ago. That's going to be a big game for them. So, yeah, it's clearly a sandwich spot. This is the down spot in the schedule in this stretch of really a bunch of games, because after New York, they played Dallas and Atlanta. Those are bigger games too. Atlanta's an ESPN game as well. I know this is a TV game on ABC, but it looks like a down spot in Indiana's schedule. Chicago might get up a little bit more for it because the home team is usually the team that gets up a little bit more for a TV game like this. You know, in Chicago, I think they're going to get up for this, and they have a little bit of momentum right now. They've won 3 of their last 4 games. They have an extra day of rest, and they're staying at home, although I know the travel from Indiana to Chicago is not exactly a lot, but Chicago's staying at home. They just beat L.A. in their last game. Decent confidence-boosting win there against kind of a weak L.A. team. But Chicago, I mean, their defense, I don't know. I mean, they haven't been that bad recently, though Indiana's a very potent offense, obviously. And they may score quite a bit against Chicago here. And I know they're professionals that like the over in this game. But I'm looking at the side, and I'm saying Indiana's in a sandwich spot. I think the spot's better for Chicago. They're going to get up for this game, most likely, because it's against an Indiana team that's one of the most hyped teams here, still the most talked about teams. They played Indiana well in Indiana, by the way, earlier this year. They took them to overtime in Indiana. And while Indiana might remember that and be like, oh, we have to take this team seriously, I think that's less likely given what I just showed you, given the scheduling spot for Indiana and the games that surround this. I don't really think so. But what this also does tell you is that Chicago has the ability to play competitively with Indiana, and that was on the road. But you do want to see, like, what spot was Indiana in that game? Were they in a bad spot in that game? They really, not really. I mean, they did return home from the road, but it was a quick road trip. It was a return home spot, but it wasn't really surrounded by big games, so it wasn't exactly a horrible spot for them. So that gives me a little bit more confidence in Chicago here as well. The money doesn't agree with me, but it looks like Indiana's a public side. 77% of tickets, 91% of the cash on them. There are 6s, maybe even 6.5s out there. The number's kind of all over the place. But, yeah, grab the points with this. You're not going to get the key number 7 here, I don't believe. But 6, 6.5, whatever it is, grab it with Chicago. Although, yes, I know the total's really high in the 190s, which worries me. You know, I like underdogs more when the total's like in the 160s. You know what I mean? Because every point is worth more. But this is just a bad spot for Indiana. So we'll grab Chicago. And that last game they played, that overtime game against Indiana, both teams scored a shit ton. And the money is coming in on the over again in this one. And that's because of the style that these teams like to play. They both kind of play up-tempo. So the over does kind of make sense. But Maybe I'd be a little bit weaker on that, although I'm not really a totals guy. But the fact that Indiana and Chicago played a high-scoring game that first time, and it was a little bit misleading because it went into overtime, so the actual game wasn't quite that high-scoring. That would have me a little bit more concerned about the over here. Plus, the total's crazy high. It actually dropped a little bit from where it opened. But yeah, the play is Chicago plus the points. Yes, hate Minnesota. I hope they lose. I'm going to do my bracket special. I'm still going to pick them to win. I mean, I don't see who's going to beat them. That's the problem. They spent most of the season without Collier, who's one of the best players in the league, and they did all this without her even being there. And now she's back. So this Minnesota team there's a huge gap between them and the rest of the league. What do you mean? I don't understand what that means. Clark versus the Sky. I don't know what you're talking about. And then we have Seattle-Portland. We have a really ugly matchup here between the two Northwestern teams here now. Portland, an expansion team. Now, it is interesting that Portland is favored only by 1.5, even though they have a better record than Seattle does by a lot. And Seattle's been very bad on the road. But it looks kind of too easy. It's like basically a pick the winner here. And Seattle's got such a bad record. If the public looks at this, you know they're going to play Portland here. And it kind of looks too easy to do that. However, I don't like the spot for Seattle here, though. Now, Portland, they just ended a losing streak. They lost 5 games in a row. Portland not playing well recently. They started out decent, but I think that was because teams didn't know what to expect with them because they're an expansion team. And now that every team's basically seen them now, they've caught up to it, and Portland's not playing as well. Portland did just beat the other expansion team, Toronto, in their last game, but the one good thing about it is they ended a 5-game win streak, so maybe they will have some momentum here. They do play Minnesota next. Don't know if they're really going to overlook anybody, though, with how bad their season has been. But if they're going to overlook anybody, maybe it will be Seattle. Now, Seattle's kind of in a bad spot because they did just play 2 tough games in New York, and look at what's going on with them. They played 3 games on the East Coast against Atlanta and New York twice. They only lost by 6 the last time they were in New York, which was kind of a zigzag-ish looking spot there after they lost by double digits in the first game. And did I give that out as a play? I don't remember if I did. I don't think I did. I think maybe I was considering it. I forget. But anyway, or maybe the first game I was considering. I forget. If New York was returning home, I don't remember. But whatever. Seattle, that game wasn't that close, though, if you look at what happened in that game. But Seattle didn't go away. Like, they were definitely not going to win that game, and they wound up only losing by 6, and they were losing by more than that late in the game. But they didn't go away, and they kind of hung around like that 6 to 8 point margin. So they played a pretty tough game, and now they have to travel all the way back to the West Coast. And while this is not going to be one of those really late 10 p.m. games, they're having to travel cross-country here. They're going from the East Coast to the West Coast with only a couple of days off. I don't like that for them, and they're in the middle of this long losing streak here, whereas Portland just busted theirs, and that might help Portland. So even though it looks way too easy to play Portland here, so I wouldn't do it just because it looks like the books are begging you to play Portland, and they're telling you that basically Portland isn't even the better team here based on the number that they put out on this game. I can't play Seattle here, given that they're traveling cross-country, and Portland is literally just staying at home. The travel spot is way better for Portland, so I think I would probably lean Portland here, but the money's not agreeing with it, and I understand why, because it looks like it's kind of a trap line here. 79% of the tickets, 67% of the cash on Portland. They're about a -1 favorite, 1.5. Like I said, it's basically pick the winner. Looks way too easy to play Portland, so I'm not going to do it, but I do lean that way, given that Seattle's travel spot is just really ugly. That's going to do it, man. That's the slate for today. Does anybody in Chicago have it out for Clark? The whole league has it out for Clark. So, like, every team does. I don't know. I mean, Chicago specifically, I don't know. I mean, they're kind of rivals because they're geographically close, so those two teams don't really like each other. That might boost the play in Chicago, right? If the refs are going to help Chicago and Chicago's going to go out there and try to injure people. Anyway, the slate today is under 7.5 in Braves-Yankees. I think the pitching matchup should get us there. We're going to play Seattle Mariners on the money line. And we're going to take the Chicago Sky +6. You know me, people are not going to like these plays, except for maybe that under play because the pitching looks good. But maybe even that they don't like. The public doesn't like unders. You know me, my plays are ugly. I'm trying to win here. Had a good day on the show yesterday. Let's hope we're on a new hot streak here. Let's keep it up. I mean, my record, I think it speaks for itself. It's a winning record for sure. We're well above that threshold that it takes to overcome the juice. So not many people could do it. I'm doing it on this show. You're here to witness it. I don't have many viewers here, but there you go. I'm annoying to listen to. I'm an ass to everybody. I'm stubborn, whatever. I get it. I'm autistic. I ramble. Subscribe, baby. Learn to Toad on Twitter as well. Check me out there. I blew up recently for ratioing Dan Crenshaw and got like 1,000-something followers out of it in like a day just for that. I'm going to try to keep doing that. On Instagram as well, Learn to Toad. I put out the short form of this on there. Covered in Uke is my Uke channel. You can check that out on YouTube. My Uke covers. Obviously, subscribe to this channel. We'll have some football content coming up soon. What else is I going to do? What else do I have to promote? Oh, yeah, we're on audio with this show as well. That's been actually going up again recently, so I like that. Slow increase in the numbers. Let's keep going, man. Keep it going. Tell everybody about the show. At the very least, I'm giving you winners generally on the show. You can't judge me based on one day or 1 week or even 1 month or whatever, but look at what we're doing long term here. It's good. What else do I have to promote? Patreon.com/LearnToToad if you want to support me that way. I know I don't have too much content on there. I really got to focus on adding more stuff there and more Twitter subscriber content. Losercast every Tuesday night and the New York Giants G-Spot podcast, and that's going to do it. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out. Yes, Real Vent. Is that what your name is? Yes, thank you. Thanks for checking out the show, man. Good to see new faces. Good to see all the regulars as well. Thank you, sir. There we go. What am I? A locally stubborn, lovable, stubborn curmudgeon. Yeah, that's me, obviously. Or a fun scumbag, as Owen Benjamin referred to these guys, Tower Gang. If you want to go back and watch the old Tower Gangs, they're all still online somewhere. They're on Rumble. Most of the ones from the last 2 years that we did the show, and then the old ones are all still up on Odyssey, I believe. So the episodes are all somewhere, man. And I actually have them here on my server, too. So, Tower Gang, I wish we could bring it back, man. But I'm repping them today. Support NDS as well, some of my Tower Gang co-hosts. They're doing Bro Grove this weekend, which I cannot attend because I'm doing some family stuff over the weekend here. And it at least saves me some money. But, yeah, Bro Grove. I would recommend being a subscriber, a Patreon for NDS. They put out a lot of good content. Sometimes they have me on the show. But the Bro Grove stuff that they're doing for subscribers, it's all pretty cool. Owen Benjamin is out there again, by the way. So 2 years in a row for him going out there. It's in Central Florida. It's already off and running, though. You would have had to have gotten there Thursday night, ideally. But whatever, man. And I saw NDS. It looked like they were giving some VIP tours of their studio and whatever. It looked like some cool stuff going on there. That's going to do it. Learn to Toad. You know me. Linktree, Learn to Toad. All the links are there. I already gave you everything anyway. Let's win today. Peace.
If the dark starts talking, hand me the phone. Let somebody answer. Let somebody know you do not have to lose this round alone. Hold on, not tonight, not now. You're still here.